Yo, there's no intro today. This the intro. There we go. Just letting the algorithm do its thing. Oh, I forgot to turn the light off. Apollo Hanso. Well, go. Just working out this hardware jam real quick while we let the algorithm do what it's supposed to do. And then we'll get to talking here in a minute. I think we're good, not too close. I need more vortexy stuff. All right, let's get the show on the road. You know, it takes a few minutes. YouTube's got some new algorithms doing their thing. You know, so it takes a little bit to get going. You know, if you don't have intro music, you know, you got to wait and let it go. My bad. I have this shit on. So I wanted to get on because, you know, we said that we would get on our normal time for Sundays. And today is Sunday, but obviously Mother's Day. So probably not going to be very crowded here, which is fine. You know, we're a small selective group. I would like to first and foremost welcome all the new subscribers. We've made a few friends here, and it's not just the fumbles video, even though that's a part of it. But yeah, you know, some drum and bass friends, you know, some new hardware jams buddies. Yeah, and we're going to participate this week too. Let's first things out of the way. We had this agenda to kind of do the Mini Freak Tussin Pack that was #1 on the list, and it would have been out on Friday. It would have been out already, but life, you know, does its thing. Let me get through because I put a thing here to make sure that I don't miss anything. And there's a pretty good order in the way that things are here, so just make sure that everything's good on the stream and we're ready to go. George G's, welcome. Okay, so first and foremost, man, we have had a week. What a week. Okay, so you guys are already privy to the layoff thing, right? I mean, like, I've already mentioned it a few times or whatever. You know, when it hits, and it was just crazy because all week this week, My wife works Sunday through Thursday or through Wednesday, right? So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. She got a call out for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Wednesday, she went DKA and or not. No, it wasn't Wednesday. That was Friday. We'll get to that in a second. Hold on. That's why I wrote a list. And yeah, we're gonna have some, I don't know, conversations that may make people uneasy or uncomfortable. But you guys are grown ups. We're grown ups here. You know what I mean? And most of us, we've known each other for some years now. You guys know the deal over here. It's nothing new. And life be life, and people be struggling. And shit hits the fan. So check this out. This layoff hit, and she's still technically hired, but it's really to the point to where they're only scheduling her 1 day a week. It's pretty much like, you quit in order to avoid paying out unemployment. That's where she's at in her job. But physically, there's already been some health discrepancies and issues and stuff like that with her being a type 1 diabetic and being out there delivering. We've already seen some, signs writing on the wall and everything like that. So we knew that the jig was up. We even mentioned over here during the stream a little bit ago. And yeah, it hit at the worst possible time. And right after that, it was like, okay, so this hit all when rent was due, and then we were already, behind because she missed a week because of them calling her out, and she missed a week before that because of having pneumonia. So it's been one thing after another. But during the pneumonia thing, we were like, yo, this is a sign. We need to leave this job behind. We don't need it anymore. We could make do with what we have over here. I could make enough for both of us just so long as I get some help on that end, and but it takes time to deprogram this stuff. We hold on to our jobs, and it's funny, and I'll get into this in a second here. Twin Cities Oxygen, welcome. How's it going? Um, so we get into our heads, and we really have a thing about letting go, especially when it comes to like paying our bills and stuff like that. But when it comes to a point to where you're paying more just to maintain and work the job, and you're still, there's a discrepancy in your bills, it's time to reevaluate things, and endlessly folding laundry. I hear you. We just had one of those recently too, and we got a whole other of them. It's like a every week thing. That's going to be us in a second here. So this hit at the worst possible time, and then right at like a couple days before rent was due, our landlord gave us a threatening letter. And basically, what had happened was we had set up the tax money and tax time and everything. Let me get this going in the background too. I got this. We got this thing set up for tax season, to be able to move forward and kind of leave this place behind and relocate. Because we're trying to make it to the Midwest. Life has different plans, apparently. So as we're making these plans, things happen the way that they do, and we fall behind and ended up using our tax return to pay our backdated rent. We before then were behind to just a couple months, but a couple months is a pretty big deal, because once you get that month in, we're lucky enough that we're where we're at, but once you get that month in, once you get into that other month, it immediately becomes a problem. So we started running up on that second month right at the tail end of her losing all these hours already and us preparing to lose this place. It was not, in the cards. And, we're cool. The neighbors are out, so we don't have to deal with that anymore. We've had a back and forth with our landlord, but she sent us a threatening letter. And before all this, we had set up a payment arrangement on our rent. That was the issue to take care of our discrepancy. We paid the first payment, and then the week after that, we got our taxes, so we paid all our rent. So, cool. We zeroed everything out. So she had sent us a message that said, you didn't fulfill your obligation, you haven't paid since this time, and there was a huge discrepancy on what we actually owed, and it just, it didn't come across the right way. And it was right at the time to where we were gauging this whole thing and, figuring out because of the loss of hours and everything like that and pneumonia and, it's just back to back, so you're talking, losing the majority of hours on one whole paycheck, and that discrepancy is not something that we were prepared for, but we had to prepare to deal with it. And that's exactly what we did here. So when we were getting to that point to where we still had a couple days left and we were working on it, we were in the weeds and we were working this out, we got that threatening letter. And then my wife goes in there to talk to her, and she's just real shitty with her and everything like that. The manager is with her. She's stressed out or whatever. My wife, you guys know the issue with that. She came in and she had some issues. So I had to get ready, and I went in there and I was like, look, there's a discrepancy here. And, this is threatening language here. You know what I mean? Like, if you're not in the process of evicting us, you shouldn't talk this way about any of your tenants at all. You know what I mean? Because one, you're wrong. You're wrong on the amount. You're wrong on the detail. And two, you're threatening us. You are literally threatening us with eviction over this. And it's not even an issue. So and I made her cry. Unfortunately, it's how things work, because I let her know, what my wife was dealing with as a result of her threats and then, being shitty with her when she came in there. It took a lot for my wife to go in there and discuss things with her. And she knows that too. So we had to deal with all that at the very beginning of the week. That's how our week started. Okay. That's how the beginning of the week started. It's the first of the month. Yo. That's how it began. So here we go. All of this really started culminating to this thought process of being so behind. And you guys know, because you guys have been here, you guys have seen the content. We have been hitting it time and time again with everything, just doing this content. And it's not because we're trying to save face or hurry up and do this or make these numbers or go viral or everything. We just have that much work we've been doing and that we're working on and stuff to be released. We got the single that just came out, and had to push for that, but that's kind of a soft release until it actually is released on the album. We got these Mini Freak presets. And then we have the hip-hop discussion coming up next week, which is a big stream. But we got all this other stuff going on, too. So with that, the week began like this. And, we started, obviously, because we got back into hardware jams. The Ewok thing, drum and bass, it was perfect for us. It was perfect for what we needed to do. So, awesome. So we put it up on, I think, Saturday or Sunday midnight, right? So, a day before they were actually due, a day and a half before they were actually due. Quite early. And because across the pond is an 8-9 hour discrepancy or difference, because of that, we were 7th, I think, to get played on the jams. And it was dope. It feels good to be back. It reminds me of the importance of this community and the level of love and respect when it comes to the jammers, For those who don't know who the jammers are, there's a lot of people that jam here on YouTube. But there's a very specific group that belongs to a channel called Hardware Jams. This cat, hold on. What are you doing? I had to close that. This cat's trying to get through. Okay. Hardware Jams. Rest in peace, Inky the Cat. It was her passing. It was her passing that brought us to Hardware Jams. We were already aware of Hardware Jams before then and been privy to some of it. We just, the streams sometimes are 5 to 7 hours long. A lot of the folks there are across the pond. And I just wasn't in the chat there. I listened to the music or whatever, but I just never got involved until Inky passed away. And when she passed away, and it was before the hardware jammers. It was right like the day after, or the day after the announcement. I started paying attention more to hardware jams, and because that's where all of our friends are at, most of our friends. Pat Brady, welcome. I thought your jam last Monday was ace. Yo, I appreciate it. And, it feels good because we tied for third place, but they put our name like first or second. And so it's just dope to even make the list on that popularity. Like, we already had over 100 views front loaded into it because the algorithm, as much as it doesn't like the way that things are going in the music world, and we'll get to that in a second here, the algorithm kind of likes our channel. The algorithm's kind of finding out that we're about that shit, and our friends and, our content. We have over, we're at 650 videos now or something, and we're just under the 2,000 subscribers. I think we need 80 now. I think we made it to 1920 today. And, these conversations and stuff like that will make people drop off or whatever. But the retention here on this channel is great. Most of you guys stick around. Every once in a while, somebody leaves, and I realize who those people are when I go visit somebody's channel. And, I say hi, everybody says hi to me, and then they directly won't talk to me. So I know who drops off, whether they're public subscribers or not, because there's specific people on this platform that, for whatever reason, don't like our content or don't like us, but they still have their channels to run or whatever. But, I'd say hi or whatever, and they make it a point to avoid saying anything. And I get it, and not everybody's cup of tea, especially being, ghetto as shit, and all this hippity hop and stuff like that. I'm used to it, so it's all good. It's fine. Can't please everybody all the time. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. And there's a lot of people, that were here before, but, screw all that. That's not the Hardware Jams group. We haven't been able to participate in 8 months, I would say. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. And we only participated, so it's an every week thing. So we did probably about 6 to 8 jams. So we ran a few of them, and, beforehand, and it was cool. It was dope, well received. But, and Inky is what brought me to that, and the community, being people that we already realize, familiar with and all that other stuff, all of our friends hang out there, and it's good to be back. We haven't had time. We haven't had time to do any of these jams, and after finally finishing the single and putting it out there, a little bit later than anticipated, we had time to not only do a jam last week, but do it early. So that jam was first. It was front loaded. So we started the week with this hardware jam. We started, and NPC, Inky's favorite too, weapon of choice. Very dope. And this decision over here, it was always going to happen. We had it, penciled in before, Inky passed, but it's just things about life here on YouTube and the circles that we frequent that she used to be a part of, and and still a part of, after her passing. It's a reminder of true community. And if you guys really, those who are new subscribing to the channel are unfamiliar with hardware jams in the community, check out Hardware Jams. I got links in the descriptions. There's links everywhere. Great community of jammers, and always welcome to add more. You just do a 5-minute piece or whatever the theme is for the week and go nuts. It's pretty much that simple. But if you guys really want to see the impact, the biggest thing that I've ever seen on YouTube And you're talking a channel that just hit the 1,000 subscribers, but you're talking a community of people, of musicians, of elite musicians that jam together and all sit and listen to each other's jams every week, you know, and we talk in the chat. But if you guys really want to see something amazing, something profound, the biggest thing I've ever seen on YouTube in all the years YouTube has been out, look at the channel Creative Collective. Creative Collective hosted the jams for Inky. Hardware Jams was Inky the Cat's community. She was an unofficial recruiter. And she had been interacting with a lot of people back and forth. Yo, Lil Tussin. Oh, no, he's not on. Never mind. I was going to say, hey, get off the stream. I don't know why it goes out and in like that, but we should be good. Let me know if there's any discrepancies on your guys' end. You know, I'm also on here, so I know, you know, just every once in a while I'll see that red coming, and I'm like, you know, stream life be happening every now and again, you know, and, you know, these things happen. So, yeah, so look up Creative Collective. I'll retroactively put the links in the description, but everybody came out for Inky and her passing. She had the biggest, best send-off, and I've seen a lot of send-offs personally up close, you know. She had the absolute best send-off I've ever seen, or heard especially. And these were like 5-minute jams, or these were, 10-minute jams. The rules were different for Inky's jams, but it was like a 3-day collective group of all the hardware jammers, most of them. I didn't do it because I you know, we weren't that close. You know, we spoke a few times, the Pro Synth Network and everything like that. We just weren't that close. I didn't feel that it would be right to include ourselves, knowing how close all of our friends are or have been and how they were impacted. We wanted to just kind of leave that where it is. But the way that we honor her memory with the relationship that we did have with her is by doing these hardware jams. And after doing it that one time, after the first time it was received, and I think it was the Labyrinth and the Mini Freak, I think is what we did. And yeah, it was just so well received. And from that point, it was just a regular thing. You know, when people pass away and they imprint their energy, you know, in their passing, you know, you, whether you like it or not, move different. You know, you change up the way that you operate without even understanding it really, you know, but on a subconscious level, on a spiritual level, there is a part of you that was once a part of that person. And the part of Inky that has been imprinted on me and my spirit has been hardware jams. And I felt like I shortchanged myself by not participating sooner, knowing that she was recruiting, knowing that that was her thing, you know, but not understanding because I haven't entered the chat to see my friends in the chat, not understanding because I wasn't that close to her like that. And in the way that I feel that I personally cheated myself by not knowing Inky like that, I feel that I'm making up for it. And speaking of Inky's friends, half God, half beast, all biscuit, all Studio 8. Studio 8 FX. Welcome. How long have we known each other, half God, half beast? I mean, we didn't really talk a lot before Symptoms of Reality, but we've been around each other for a few years, right? Like, but we didn't Like, I didn't know you were this close to Inky. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't know the relationship, the people that I associated with more frequently were attached to her like that. I didn't know Echo Craft, was real good friends with her. 18 months, 2 years. 18 months and 2 years. No, yeah, okay, yeah. So as long as you've been on, just about then, yeah, because we've been on for what it's been about. It's been almost 4 years on here, but like we'd still been in the chat beforehand. But yeah, the most profound thing that has ever existed on YouTube was those send-off jams from that Creative Collective hosted. And Cresshead, if you're out there listening, goddamn, at the end of last weekend, last hardware jams on Monday. Okay, this is where it ties in. We released the single. We participated in hardware jams. We're feeling the weight of this layoff. We got the threatening eviction letter from our landlord about the shit, So we're feeling all this. Hardware jams, just the return of that just feels so good. But Cresshead, that song, that Inky song, it's not the only one he did. Cresshead, as things go in hardware jam world, Inky is highly represented, beginning, middle, and end, especially the end. And they play Cresshead's jam. Oh, let me get this fuzzy off over here. My bad. Cut down the turntable here real quick. I cried during last episode of Hardware Jams, and it wasn't the weight of our personal relationship. You know what I mean? It wasn't the personal issues. Kane, Connecticut. Welcome. I snuck a peek at your jam. I was like, wait, I gotta stop it. I know it's up to us. I like waiting until the stream time to listen to them all fresh. But every once in a while, we catch them early. And I'm like, or it plays automatically. I'm like, wait a minute. I cried. Like a little baby bitch, I cried. Yeah, I cried. And, I shed tears over Inky after she passed. For sure. Publicly. It was not only the weight of the fact that I saw her in her last moment on ProSynth Network and decided, I'll say what's up next time. There wasn't a next time. That was my last opportunity to say hello. And that's all it would have been. Hey, how's it going? Hey there. It would have been hey there with a wave. It would have been a hey there back or whatever. Like a real human, you cried. I mean, that's it, when it comes down to it. I'm obviously quoting Jay and Silent Bob or whatever. But yeah, it wasn't just the weight of our personal life. It wasn't any of that. It wasn't any of that shit. That shit does not bother me at all. That does not bother me. And I'll tell you guys why in a minute here. And you guys will understand completely. I cried because I was back. We were back and jamming. and had a really good jam and had a really great time listening to everybody's jam last week. God, to start off the week. And we started off the week shitty. So that was good. But it was just the reminder of why we're in the community to begin with, Hardware Jams. Because of Inky, because of her passing. And that was just all realized with Cresshead's song, his tribute song about her. And it's just so profound because the song talks about how it's Inky's world. Hardware Jams is Inky's world. I cried like a bitch for a week when Jerry left. Dude, you saw me when I rolled up to your house, bro. You made me fucking cry in that moment because I just happened to be playing your tribute to him as I was rolling up and pulling up in your driveway. This shit. It's such a profound reminder. In a minute here, okay? Hold on. Give him your head. Show the face over there. Hair gone. Hair gone. All right. Fuck out of here. Love you, son.
Love you too.
All right. Your mom will be home in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. All right. No. Go. I'm in the middle of a story. Go. Shoo. All right. I cut the boy's hair. I bribed him with a Coke, and it worked. I didn't have to because he already... he knew it's the season, you know? It's just getting obnoxious. You should have seen that atrocious shit. Here. You want to see him a couple days beforehand? Stop. Okay, you could watch. Look at it. See this kid's head? Look at it. See that? You can see it through all the blur. It's all good. See that? Helmet head. He's got that Swayze, Kurt Russell, you know, early 90s, you know, Darth Vader helmet head. Just brutal. Yeah. I shaved my shit. It was time. Yeah, he cuts his hair twice a year. Once the beginning of the spring season, which is now, and then the second time right when fall is beginning to start. Keeps him out of the shit house for a minute, but he really likes holding on to his hair. Anyways, back to the story. The weight of everything. And yes, Apollo, like me crying with the Inky and Hardware Jams and being back and just being reminded on this about this community and the connection that we all share, not only to her but to each other, you know. And it wasn't really, I mean, yes, it was at a time to where we needed it the most, but like shit really hit the fan after that. You think it was bad then, you know, as things were culminating to that. Tigrail, welcome. It was rough. But Hardware Jams is Inky's world. Still is. And I'm happy to be a part of it. And now that I am a part of it, I don't feel so cheated out of the relationship that we could have had. And as narcissistic or, you know, selfish as it may seem to say something like that, it's just the impact that her passing had on all of our friends. I felt that shit. For one, I'm an empath, like true. Like I feel that shit anyways. but just the amount of people, the connectivity around the world as Hardware Jams is as a group of people. Fuck all the YouTube shit. You know, subscribes and algorithms be damned. Be goddamned. That's the shit it's all about. One community like that? Shit. Ain't the only one. Yo, we spread out around a little bit. DMG. Welcome. So a very emotionally taxing beginning to the week. And remember when I said my life has always been these extreme highs and these extreme lows. I am a Libra. In the middle. Completely balanced. But the issue is balance to the extremes. In order to have all the good rewards and benefits of the love and everything that comes with it, I have to experience these extreme lows. Like the shit that gets us put in the poorhouse. Wifey's layoff, which was already baked into the cake. You know how these assholes do. She works for a DSP that is contracted through Amazon. Not only that, the biggest, most productive DSP. Already, these companies, the way that they do it, they do a massive hiring adjustment, and then they get all these people working. They get all these resources together. They make their company super inflated and just really push the numbers to make it seem like their company is different, knowing that at the end of this, they're going to be firing all those people and some. Their quarter comes through, they make the profit from what they do, whether it be some tax write-offs from having X amount of employees, whatever the issue. They do that shit, and it's already baked into the cake. Now, what accelerated this whole thing was old Orange Avenger in office. And, you know, I don't mean to get political here talking about this guy, but, like, what is happening here just accelerated all that. So, like, food, you know, like, it's just... So they're Amazon is quickly readjusting. People are buying less, so they're readjusting to that as well. You know, consumer confidence is down, DSPs are getting cut, and all the work that Amazon is getting is going straight to them. And even they are cutting back on their people. So, you know, knowing that this is already baked into the cake, we already expected it, you know, knowing how things operate on the political spectrum and how things are impacted and seeing the writing on the walls, we kind of already anticipated this kind of thing. Without the dark, there is no light. Without silence, there is no sound. Without pain, there is no pleasure/relief. Well said. There's a reason why I like the darkness over everything. You want to see how dark my brain goes? Sorry, Sarah. This is how dark it gets for me. You guys know about this? I'll get into it in the content here. I have this out for a reason. Rabbit hole goes deep over here. Kane Kinetic says, I do. Yeah, Brother Lynch hung his MPC gang. One of my heroes I met and got to tell him how I felt about his music. Great. There's only a couple times I've been able to do that, but awesome. Carbon vibes. Carbon Vibes. Welcome. Accurate Beats. Welcome. Lurkin. Accurate Beats, huh? Did you say the wrong name? Yo, I see Carbon Vibes everywhere. That's dope. Yo, I've seen them in here before too, you know. If you're in here too, Accurate, what's up? I didn't see you on the list over here. Anyways. So yeah, you know, with all this, you know, the darkness, you know, gravitating towards the dark, there's a reason why I like the dark so much. We're going to get into this content. I'm not doing content on here and then clipping it later or whatever, but I'm working on this video. I was going to do it for Mother's Day, but I will not. Because life is born from darkness. Yeah. It's where you start and where you end, right? Right? You know? Yeah. And that's why my beats are the way that they are. You know what I mean? I'll be getting in with the darkness. I know that's less dark, but it's something I'm working on for jams and get to use my own preset packs on the hardware jams. Hope Mama Tussin is feeling better. Yo, let's get into that for a second. Let's get into that. Well, I don't know. No. We'll get there. We'll get there. She's doing better. She's doing better. It was but she just barely yesterday afternoon was able to get her blood sugars down below 300. I forgot. Does the MPC have FX loop? Yes, it does. Yeah, it's a whole DAW, really. You know what I mean? And especially with the 3.0, it's a more linear DAW, so it has, you know, things in it, you know, that, you know, it didn't have before as far as the being able to do certain things. This world needs a hero. Welcome. I need to reach in to your plethora of content and go through. I see what you're doing with that. Dope thumbnails, too, by the way, going through those. But, yeah, it's crazy because, yeah, Brother Lin Chung, he's all about his MPC. You know, Inky was all about the MPC. You know, we've been reluctant. And, you know I give – so it's kind of like what we were saying before about the algorithm. I know I give Akai a lot of shit, but, you know, it's not I give him a lot of shit because if I really gave him the shit that they really deserve from the discrepancies, if I really pointed out all the discrepancies, it'd be a much longer video. I just pointed out the 4 support ticket related discrepancies that were all happening at the same issue. And it's crazy because it hit over 1,000 views and then sat there for like a day. And then the algorithm flew it back out. So a bunch of likes and subscribers. So welcome new subscribers. And yeah. So there's the new Akai West Coast pack that came out. And it wasn't for that reason that we didn't get it. It wasn't because of the fumbles thing. It's just financially, you know, it comes right after all this stuff comes up. Not only was rent due, but all of our bills, like the Viral Beats bills, half of them are on the 1st, the other half are on the 15th ish. And then there's a couple of them, I think, that are close to the edge, like the very last day of the month or something like that. I'm inspired. Sorry, I got to make music. I'll watch later. I need to get this. Yeah. Good luck, my friend. Thanks for coming through, for sure. Yeah, so we're still going to do it because I'm curious about the pack. It's just, for one, it was $40, and we had like 4 bills here that $40 would have taken care of. So we took care of our bills, okay? And other than that, like I said, I don't mean to get uncomfortable and start talking about finances and health and shit, but this is the layer cake. You know what I mean? This is the way that shit is. You know what I mean? And we really started having that quitting YouTube thought process again. We're not going to do it. We're not going to quit. But obviously there's been some readjustments being worked out as things go about this time of people's channels and the lifespan of people's channels. So, but goddamn, to face all this turmoil and you're grinding it out. People don't talk enough about how much time is spent in the music industry in making music. Chris Head. Welcome. Your Inky Jam, the Inky's jamming world, hit me different on Monday. It really did. Because we had my wife's layoff, we had the single, we had the mini freak pack that I was working on getting the presets done and finished up. They're all done. I just have to rename them and do the logistical thing of throwing them out there administratively and all that stuff, and I have to calculate time and marketing or whatever, but I'm not doing the marketing part about it. It's just calculating the time and making sure that everything is on point from sound to to site, everything, and we're also doing content on it, exploring our own presets and everything. So, and then not doing a hardware jam in so long and being able to do one early last week and then being able to play it and then having the whole thing and just, being back after, about 8 months of not participating or 6 months of not participating. And it just really had an impact the way that it was received, the love that I felt from the group, and then it all ended with your jam reminding me why I was there in the first place, why I got involved in hardware jams, why a lot of us met. It's all her fault. So I had a moment. It was a great moment, by the way, because I don't take those moments as negative feelings or bad feelings. I wasn't crying out of sorrow. I was crying out of love. Crying out of love. Not having tears or swelling up. I was crying, literally crying out of love. Not only because of Inky and what she stands for and what her life was and is, afterwards, but being the glue that has tied everybody together and having such a personal impact where we have had these thriving relationships since doing the Inky thing and being more Inky and jumping in head first in the hardware jams. Fucking want to cry about it just talking about it now. Shit! I have never had such a distant acquaintance become such an impactful person in my life. Ever. And it's just because, you guys were really close. Shit, people that I was really close to, that we are close to, were really close to her too. We just didn't have that kind of relationship with her. But And I think we had a little back and forth, you know, at first with the Phantom. Hey, this kid just goes up in the cabinet and grabs a bag of cookies out of it. What the fuck? Yo, mom opens the door promptly. Take those cookies from him. Immediately. Confiscate the cookies. The boy needs lunch. It's Mother's Day. You have to comply. Haha. Fucking kid. Yeah. So all this stuff, cookie police. Cookie patrol. Stop that. Give me a bite. I can't smoke right now. I'm live streaming. I mean, I could cut it off and judge the joint all I want, you know. Cut off 50 minutes, but yeah. So this whole quitting YouTube thing. It's not a quitting YouTube conversation. It's more like a spending a bunch of time and effort doing this work, physical work, administrative, everything, and still the music, the communication, all that shit for less than pennies on the dollar. We in music already feel this weight. Those of us who make music, God damn it. Hold on. I'm gonna give a fucking brain freeze. Sorry. My bad, y'all. I didn't have any medicine. That is medicine. My bad. Quitting YouTube, it isn't about quitting YouTube. It's about not being fairly compensated for the amount of work that they expect you to do in order to push your numbers up. We were just on with Jervis right before starting over here. Jervis has about 1,500 subscribers he's reaching and is about ready to reach his year anniversary, which is great. That's better than what we did by the time we got there, but the amount of work that this man has had to do to get to those numbers, the amount of equipment he's had to procure, the amount of shenanigans with the cats, the features, Pro Synth Network, the people that he's been involved with, the community, YouTube and their algorithm should have long ago and still should propel his channel. Suppression algorithms are real, even for us. Look at our visual video of our latest single. Quite a year already. Less than 100 views. You want to know why? Because my face wasn't showing on it. Because it was a visual video. And visual videos for this channel only get viewed by our subscribers. Because it's a visual video and we don't do a lot of visual videos here, the algorithm only pushes it. But it doesn't push it to our subscribers either. And that's the discrepancy in the algorithm. It's getting to a point to where it's not even pushing the content that the subscribers want to see to the actual subscribers. You have to have your notification bell on, or else you're going to miss shit. But it's not even that. The monetization, and once you get to the monetization point, it still doesn't mean dick. I mean, it means a lot. Don't get me wrong. It does mean a lot because every little bit helps when you're a smaller channel, for sure. But if you're working 40, 60, 80 hours a week just on this YouTube thing, not to mention all the behind the scenes shit, you should be properly compensated for it. The same way that when you're in music and you're spending a whole lifetime's worth of work doing all this stuff and you're not being compensated for it, by the time you put it out there and you have this product to release, you should be at that point then to where the platform that you're on is pushing your product. But this isn't a product pushing platform. Neither is any other social media streaming platform. They're not there to promote a product. They're there to promote the popularity. They want the zeitgeist shit to exist. If you are not active on YouTube every single day, YouTube has an algorithm for that. They want you to do content, shorts, live streams, and posts, and maintain and balance a community while you're creating all the content. That's what it takes for you to be pushed by YouTube's algorithm. I just tested this last week. And it wasn't on purpose, but we were running into doing 3 live streams per day. The vertical live streams are promoted different. I get people all across the country that aren't even subscribed, showing up on the vertical live streams. It's weird. It sounds like moving the goalposts. They do. Frequently. Hardware Jams definitely helped me feel found when I felt lost. It's helped me learn to appreciate all levels of talent and creativity. I've learned to find what I love about someone's art. Dude, well said. I'm trying to talk Destructo into doing what you do on here. Just get your mask, man, and jam. Don't say anything to anybody. Just fucking jam. You're already in the chat. You already got the mask. Just put the mask on and fucking go. He's going to do it one of these days. One of these days. Instead of picking apart and dissecting what I don't like, yeah, you have to play their rules. Play by their rules, yeah. Yeah, and that's it. I just use YouTube as a free place to upload videos. I don't monetize these days. Yeah. Can't be arsed with that crap. Yeah, and that's the thing about it. If your video doesn't get 1,000 views, it's not even worth monetizing because they don't pay you for it anyway. They don't push the video if you don't have a monetized video. So if you don't monetize your video after 1,000, suppression algorithm. Just how it goes. And we've kind of been doing this dance with YouTube as well, and it's not just because we do music over here and when we get the product, we get the product. We were first on the Scott Storch thing. We were first on a lot of shit. The Mini Freak Stellar. My mom bought that shit before they even announced it. The first eyeballs on it physically came to this channel. That's why that live stream is over 5,000 views. It's 8,000 views, I think I saw it. Wasn't it? Or is that the other one? No, that's the other one. No, it's like 5,000. But 5,000 for a live stream for this niche of a market in this community with less than 2,000 subscribers. I got 5,000 in a live stream almost immediately. YouTube didn't do shit because it was a live stream. But the engagement, the amount of people who are interested in seeing it made that, it pulled it out of its suppression algorithm. But still, having 1 or 2 videos that pop does not put you in a different algorithm as a smaller channel. They want you to keep doing stuff that pops, and the stuff that doesn't pop, they just suppress and promote the stuff that pops. That's all they do here. So when it comes to this music niche, there's a reason why there's a bunch of guys that are still talking about Kendrick Lamar and Drake. There's a reason why even some of our friends here on YouTube. There's a reason why these conversations continue the way that they go in the mainstream. But when it comes to making the sauce, beat making, all this stuff, it's just a select few. But the algorithm here on YouTube is so suppressive, it'll keep our community from ourselves. Go look at the Ben Jordan Venus Theory Decent Sampler No Talking preset exploration. That was done right before releasing the single. And Ben Jordan and Venus Theory have huge channels. I'm the only one who did a demo on it. And it's new. It should fly. Nope. Because how big Ben Jordan's channel is, and because how big Venus Theory's channel is, my content gets suppressed. Because they don't want a smaller channel taking the juice from a larger channel. So they will see these names tagged and these videos tied in and say, nope, you are not going to take any of that. And by the way, we're not even going to show this to your community. They have to find it and love it. So there's like barely over 100 views on that. Where if it were shown and listened to by their community, which is what they're trying to market their product to, which is, not who I'm trying to reach. I just do it because we got it. We shill for Venus Theory. We'll never stop promoting him or Ben. There's certain people and companies that will never stop promoting here. Sarah's one of them. It's just one of these things, and this kind of brings us to the Kirk State thing, We got this week. Now, we don't frequent Kirk State's channel very often, but a lot of our friends do. And, we got the $5 5-pack. I saw you in there last night, Carbon. I lurk. Usually when the time it comes on, I was in somebody else's live stream during T-Sketch. I was with T-Sketch. I had them both running at the same time. That's usually why I miss a lot of them. My highest viewing video I did over a decade ago, 3.7 million views. Damn, for a 30-second video? Was it music related? Holy viral video. If that shit was music related, that is fucking nuts. Our biggest video here is like 14,000, and it's the Akai conversation. With the EA Ski and all that. NPC Gate 2. And it took like 400 likes for it to get where it's at, My best video is 45K or something. Yeah, see? And if you look at the channel here, Viral Beats, if you look at the numbers on our live streams and the numbers we do on the live streams, we have numbers that blow out those bigger channels. So there's channels with 100,000, 200,000, even 500,000 subscribers who can't pull our numbers for live streams. But the algorithm don't work like that. It doesn't matter if we're outperforming our competitors or our community or people with larger channels that would throw us into the zeitgeist. It's not that kind of algorithm. It's a forever production, it's a production workflow, it's an assembly line, it's a production line. I love Ben Jordan and Venus Theory. Yeah, fucking A right. Babe, can you hand me his tardigrade over here? I'm going to tell you something, Kane. You may not know this. A lot of people here do, but you may not notice this. See this? Cressy knows what this is. See this? Oh. See this thing? This is Lil Tusson's plush tardigrade. Ben Jordan did a live stream one time. I'm going to put it back here. He did a live stream one time. Make it visible right next to the NPC. And he was doing. He used to do these microscopy, look at stuff under a microscope and stuff like that. And it was kind of a theme that he was kind of trying to do or whatever, because he's a science guy. He's into that shit. So he and his mom were looking at tardigrades and trying to find them underneath the microscope. And I just happened to be sitting here with, little Tussin, and yeah, I just got all into it. And he actually got this plush tardigrade before we met Ben Jordan at NAMM. And yeah, it was just a really profound experience. It was already a profound experience because that experience with the Lil Tussin on the live stream when he was 5 years old, and he's about to turn 9. So, that's how long we've been on here, just kind of really connecting with the community like that. And, that was just such a profound experience because that was the moment that he realized that YouTube was real, that there's a whole section of YouTube and YouTubers that were just, that know each other, that talk to each other. When Ben Jordan's mom was like, tell your son this, and he's like, what do you mean tell your son this? Wait, she's telling you to tell me this? It's like, yeah, we're talking. Look, I typed something and Ben responded to my text because, he's very interactive with this chat, It's crazy. But what I was saying about Jervis was like, even though he's at 1,500 in less than a year, which is great for the amount of work that he's done, the amount of equipment that he's done, the amount of times he's been featured on other channels and community he's been involved with, the algorithm should be pushing his live streams and his videos. Now, his live streams are a lot more interactive. They got, 29, 30 people in them, which is pretty good for a live stream. And, primarily live streaming is the way to go. But they don't want you to live stream. The live stream is for us. The live stream is for our community. YouTube doesn't like it when you live stream. They want you to live stream for your people, for your community, but they want you to live stream so you can promote your channel memberships and your super chats and do everything you can to try to show for money for yourself so they could take their cut. That's what they want. They want you to sit here and be like, yo, get a membership. And yeah, we have memberships and we have member content, that Will Smith video is a member only content because we did it 2 weeks after the fact. That was in the zeitgeist when he did that video, and we could have blown up on that video. But I don't want that kind of traffic. I don't want to blow up on a video talking about somebody like Will Smith or something like that and have a bunch of half-hearted subscribers come to the channel thinking that we're going to produce those types of videos. Fuck that. I want people to know what they're getting. You know what you're getting? Fucking beats. Overdubbed. You're getting some synthesizers. You're getting somebody who's connected to the community and who's been doing music for 30 years and professionally for a couple of fucking decades. And it doesn't matter. None of my life or career has mattered before YouTube because I didn't bring my numbers or my people to YouTube. I came to YouTube and started from the beginning. And when you start from the beginning on YouTube, they try to place you and fish you around where you belong. And YouTube is starting to treat Viral Beats as a real channel. It only took almost 4 years, 2,000 subscribers, and over 600 videos. But we haven't had any viral moments beyond like the Waves thing, which, they shut down after 2 days. They got tired of that shit, and that's what they do. If there's something of ours in our niche that gets so big that clogs up the algorithm in the mainstream, they shut it down. They shut down all those videos. So YouTube on the third day killed my Waves video, which is fine. I don't care. YouTube putting people and channels in boxes. Yeah, and that's exactly it. Our friend here, Chicano, Champ Flexington, fucking amazing guitar player. And he was jamming every single day for hours. God, the look on this man's face as he just made sweet love to that guitar in front of everybody. He did a sample pack. He did these transitions, to where it was graphically appealing. He collaborated with other YouTubers, including ours. So, like, he's been a part of the community. But because of YouTube and the way that they force you to grind it out like this, you haven't seen him on YouTube in more than a year. That content that YouTube had is now gone. Because even after he spent day in and day out focused on YouTube and making it work, the algorithm wasn't having it. YouTube wasn't having it because he wasn't big enough of a channel. They do something to suppress your content if you're under 1,000 subscribers. The 1,000 subscribers, yes, it means monetization, but you're in another suppression sub-algorithm after that. We've been in that sub-algorithm this whole time. Every once in a while we get out and do this viral content, but it only means a few thousand views, which is great. Fine, we'll take it. But for the amount of effort, the work that we put into this shit, the consistency with how much we do here, it should do a lot more. But because we're close to that 2,000 number, it has crossed us over into the 2,000 algorithm. We are in the algorithm as if we had 2,000 subscribers already. Because how close we are, because how much content we've done, and how consistent we remain every week, whether it's live streaming or not. We do more than just one piece of content per week. And that's why the algorithm is starting to change. Because these bigger YouTubers are fucking lazy. They have gotten over, and I don't mean to be contentious here, but, they have really reaped the benefits of the algorithm because of their subscriber base being at a certain level. So they know that even if they half-step a video and do some shitty content, the YouTube algorithm will push it. It'll put it out there. So now all these people are complaining that the algorithm is changing and they're not getting the views that they were getting before. And, but that's just because you're only showing up every now and again and doing half-assed lazy content. And you guys have been clogging up this algorithm, preventing channels like this one from breaking through. And it's not like they're stopping or going out of their way to suppress. Some of them are. Some of them do some shady shit behind the scenes, just like they do in the industry, and call motherfuckers and say, don't fuck with that fool, because I don't fuck with that fool, And it's like that. Humans are humans. It's just how things go. You gotta learn to keep. Let me catch up with this chat over here. Thought about getting a green screen, have to screw it. Yeah, with more tech. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That's why we got the tapestry, so we don't have to change the thing and do a digital representation on the back of the screen every time. My old McDonald video got picked up and pushed for 3 weeks and was on the search. Then it dropped off. Still amassed 60,000 views, though. Great. Just that alone. And how many subscribers do you have, Chris Head? Let's see what's up. My bad here. Eternity. Waka. 60,000 in one video for 3 weeks. And that's why it doesn't push your channel. Buddy Cats 1 has 5K subs. Okay. It's a decent amount. And it's good. It's a good amount of subs to get you in a good algorithm. When you're in that in between 5 and 10 algorithm, it's really, user's choice. But when it comes to music is one of those things that YouTube treats the worst. And that's because they already have their music. They already have the relationship with the industry. They already have their people that they're going to put on and their channels with their, music note. Our channel would be treated different if we got that music note on ours. But we're not putting our viral beat stuff on streaming platforms. So right now we're trying to find out where we're going to put the Virus music channel. Because we have a Virus music channel for Virus music, and we have a Virus TV for Virus, which is like my personal channel. And then we got this one, which is all production based. But you can't help to intersect. You know, because it's production based and because I'm the artist that I'm producing, you know, and I just happen to be a rapper and fucking doing hip hop and doing this album and doing this shit, you know, it's just, yeah. I mean, it's good. It breeds more content, but I got more content up here and stuff that I'm working on that I even have time to throw that shit out. I got videos that I've been working on for 2 years that I haven't touched because I've been working on them. Music channels like news channels, they push the mainstream even when the mainstream has less real viewers. Yeah, it's crazy. Got a tapestry for my studio I'm hanging up. Hey, good for you. Look forward to seeing it. Yeah, tapestries are dope because they're only like $15. They last forever, and if you get a good one that represents you, like this is the one. Shout out to my mom, by the way. Happy Mother's Day. I was going to put content out today, but I'm waiting till tomorrow because I don't want to ruin her Mother's Day. We kind of fucked it up for her. You know why? Where's that damn thing? Because of this record. This record ruined my mom's Mother's Day. I mean, it technically didn't ruin it. That shit got stuck in her head. She had revealed to me over the phone after talking to her for 20 minutes. She said that song got stuck in the head of my... Yo, Cressy, go back and watch the stream, but even if you don't, I'm putting content on this. It'll be out tomorrow. I already got the video done. I just don't want to put it out on Mother's Day. This shit is so funny. This fool. So, this guy did this song. It's still in my head. Yo, how do you think? I had to edit it and replace it in my head. Yo, I was driving the other day with Lil Tussin. I was driving with him. And we were out for like an hour. And then all of a sudden I was like, son of a bitch. He was like, what? I was like, that fucking song. I'm not going to repeat it. It's in my head already. It's already stuck in there again. She couldn't even tell me. She couldn't even say the title. She couldn't even say the title. She was like, Happy Mother's Day to me. I was like, ah, shit, I fucking ruined it. But in all fairness, you know, I may be my mother's son, but I'm also my father's son too. And I've also lived the life that I do, and I'm quite gully. So I said it couldn't be unheard. Hey, I read that comment on the, it can't be unheard, ever. Ever. Jesus Christ. What a moment. What a fucking moment. Yeah, so I'm doing a content saying this record ruined Mother's Day. And then I clip together the live stream, and then I talk about it kind of like what we did here, minus the detail. So, Cresshead, if you really want to know, just wait for the content to come out. It'll be a lot easier. Unless you want to comb through the last live stream and listen to the music. It was, I want to say the second to last record. Oh, it's fucking hilarious. It is so funny. Yo, I was dripping snot out of my nose. I had to turn off the camera and laugh. Like, I was falling out my shit. Like, I was laughing so bad, like, just tears gushing down my face. So, goddamn, dude. It was so fucking hilarious. And I'm not even going to tell you why. And it's not just because of the song title, too. It's the way that the song was promoted and... It's just so crazy. But yeah, shout out to the community because you guys, not just you guys here, but the Hardware Jams community, just everybody here doing audio production and just really involving themselves, whether they have channels or doing, music themselves or not, it really makes all the difference. And whether or not we even know, about one way or another, we haven't developed any kind of relationship with Kirk State. I just saw that he was throwing out those $5 packs, and I said, "We're collecting records. Give me that." By the way, I should watch your channel a little more. I've been slacking. So, and that's the thing. Like I fuck with that make beats, not excuses comment, I fuck with that philosophy, you know what I mean? Like we have similar production styles when it comes to the way that, record sampling is done. Even though you guys haven't seen it and shit like that or whatever, I don't condescend to, be at his level as far as sample-based production goes. But like, there's a reason why we gravitate towards each other, and it's like, I don't need to clear the air to find out one way or another how he feels about our channel. It's just, I don't want to intrude or presume. And I don't want to be, and that's another thing with this whole thing on YouTube. When you are interacting with this community, it is profound. Hardware Jams, we just, Cresshead fucking made me cry more than once. That wasn't the first time you made me cry. And it's funny because I just watched an interview with Fontano that was from 2 years ago, and he was interviewing Joey Badass, I want to say. And Joey Badass is like, "Yo, how the fuck you gonna give me a 7 on my album, but yet I made you cry? The album made you cry, but you only gave it a 7. And he wasn't mad about it, but, so it's funny, just bringing things up, going through this. The community, when you frequent these bigger channels, the same way that you frequent these smaller channels, and the community, largely accepting, open, honest, we've made it clear the interaction between us and other channels. But there's also some people in those other channels that think some kind of way when you get to donating or when you get to promoting their channel. They think that you're promoting them to promote your channel because you're trying to put yourself on by putting them on and piggyback. The same kind of thought process that the algorithm, which was developed by man, it's kind of one of those things. We made the algorithm. We make the algorithm with how we dictate things and the way that we do things. And I think this shill community of algorithmic fuckery is why these more suppressive algorithms are starting to show up for those guys. Because people don't like the shill thing. And as it gets further along with it and more people start to shill, people are starting to realize, especially in music, like, yo, this ain't cool. That low-fly dirt plugin, it's a cool plugin, but it's a $20 plugin, and it's just a basic filter. It is not that serious. But you got motherfuckers out here that are like, oh, like it's the best thing, and I'm still getting fucking inundated with emails from Air saying, this is what people are talking, this is what people are saying. Yes, they're saying it because you fucking paid them to say it. And even if you didn't pay them, they're trying to do a good job so they could get that new MPC. So, yeah, I get a lot of hate for talking shit, but at the same time, I also get a lot of love from talking that same shit because other people have dealt with the same thing that we have here. Fix your fucking software if that's your primary objective. If your primary objective is software, then you shouldn't have any half step into where people are paying for products they're not receiving. And it's funny how many people commented and were like, oh, or it's user error. If it were user error, I would have figured it out before doing a fucking video on it. Like if it were user error, it wouldn't take all this, and that's the thing about it. And it wouldn't be other people. It wouldn't be widespread. Kai wouldn't, or In Music wouldn't have told me themselves, this is a common problem and we're working diligently to resolve it. So please be patient with us. you know? But these guys suck off these companies so hard because of what they want their channels to be like, the attention that they want, and the equipment that they want to receive from them. Some asshole in the comments said that I was disingenuous or something like that, or non-genuine. They're like, what the fuck are you talking about? My channel is one of the most genuine YouTube channels as far as music production goes, like out there. And it's just crazy because it just reminds you on why things are the way that they are with our music algorithm. And just like 005 Dynasty said, you're clogging up the algorithm with your buffoonery. And what that means is that all these people who come on and shill take up all the space, so it tricks YouTube's algorithm into believing that this space is where the music space exists. Every single one of my Hardware Jams videos gets suppressed by the suppression algorithm. You know what changes that? 25 likes. 25 likes. If you get 25 likes within 24 hours, you get out of the first suppression algorithm. And you go into the subcategory algorithm. But it takes the engagement. So last week, on Saturday, I put out that video. So it was Sunday I put the video out, right? Monday is Hardware Jams. So the people who watched it before Hardware Jams and listened to it beforehand, they gave their likes, they gave their comments. The algorithm suppressed it still because it wasn't enough. Because a lot of us, just like me, wait until Hardware Jams airs before we start liking and commenting on the jams. It's just kind of our thing. It's kind of how we do things. Some of us do it ahead of time, you know, every once in a while, depending on the time that we have. But for the most part, we stay and wait. So that first 24 hours, I did it at midnight, right? So when it's midnight the next day, on Monday, that's still before Hardware Jams airs. And because I didn't get put into that subcategory and cross over into that other algorithm, YouTube never showed my Hardware Jam to anybody after that. Maybe a couple of subscribers, I don't know. I don't see what they're doing. I just see what my numbers are. And you could tell when YouTube kills a video. YouTube killed my Hardware Jam. But you know what changed that? Hardware Jams airing. And all of a sudden, my jam played, and I had 13 extra comments that I commented back. So that left 26 comments. Just like that. And all those likes and a couple new subscribers. I think 2 or 3 people weren't subscribed to me, and because it's been such a long time since we've been on Hardware Jams. That's just a jam. That's just music. There was no talking in it. It was just a jam. It was a good jam. It was drum and bass. Drum and bass is also one of those things that gets tucked. But the type of music it was, and because I label it how I do, I don't even call it Hardware Jams. I call it HWJ, you know, because it's for the community. It's for the Hardware Jammers. And some of the people on here, too, you know, you guys, you know, who aren't a part of Hardware Jams, you guys are welcome, too. But, like, the way that it's distributed is not consistent. The Fumbles video, you know why that's at over 1,000? Because I use the word like hate. And this is why producers hate. So many producers hate Akai. Because there's a lot of producers that hate Akai. You know why? Because people's pet peeves in making music is being prevented from making music. The whole shtick of making music here on YouTube is being prevented from making music. So you wonder why musicians don't come on this platform and start making music? This is why. Because after 4 fucking years and over 650 videos and almost 2,000 subscribers, I should be in a different algorithm than what I am right now. I should be getting properly compensated at least. But I only get what the donations are because the ad revenue isn't good enough because, I mean, it adds up incrementally or whatever, but I mean, you're talking less than $200 every 3-4 months. Now, what do you do if that's what your survival rate is and you have nothing else going and that's what you need to survive and you're trying to make it work? Yeah, I know after your YouTube channel blows up and you're big and all this other stuff, then you start reaping the rewards. But what do you do in the meantime? It's just kind of like the music thing. Yeah, you'll get paid and properly compensated once you reach to a certain level. But before you get to that level, what kind of work do you have to do to make that work for you? YouTube and being on this platform is less rewarding. It's more of a grind than music. I know. I've produced several albums of my own, start to finish. I know what it's like to run the gamut and go out there and tour. And I got to tell you, while it may be more complex and it may be more involved and it may be more like work to do the music, as far as the physicality of things and your daily grind and everything that you have to do on this platform for a video to not go anywhere, because it's all up to the zeitgeist. That's why you find people who are musicians on here who do zeitgeist type shit. Some of them still do music. Others have given up the music entirely and just do the zeitgeist type shit. You know? Curtis King right now is trying to find a balance between that because he capitalized off the zeitgeist. And now it's like, you know, he's been doing these remix projects, which are helpful to get people involved in the music and get people into his stuff. And it's working out for him. But he's still got to be on YouTube all day long. T-Sketch Beats said something last night about the whole thing and the way that she's trying to progress with YouTube, but she only has the 1 day a week to give to YouTube. She gives 5, 7, 9 hours at a time to YouTube per week. You know? Yeah, if you get a comment, reply to them. Yeah, for sure. I'm always last minute panic. So late. Yep. Maybe start playing some guitar and use yeah, see, and and use the upper horn. Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. So that's why, you know, we're always on the make sure you like and subscribe, because we forget while we're ingesting this content, like, oh shit, we got to do this. They're making us do this because if we don't get to be on here. Or we do, we just can't cover our bills. So what happens if me, Mr. Typo, you know, what happens when you're doing the music and you're already stretched thin doing the music and you're already not properly compensated because you're spending all the time making the music? You ain't got time to do content. So what happens when you're doing both and not getting paid for either of them? You got to give up something. I'm not quitting YouTube. I'm just not going to be live as frequent as I was before. But we got Sundays. And next week we're doing our panel discussion about hip-hop. And for those of you across the pond, I would really like you guys to jump in on this because I really want to know what hip-hop looks like from your guys' perspective. But make sure you guys keep in touch somehow. I'll be in the zeitgeist. I got Discord. I'm on everybody else's Discords. I'm going to be sending the invite out for the Zoom link this week after the presets, which is the first order of business, because these are done already. The only reason why these haven't been released is because wifey went DK in the hospital, and now we're finally to that conversation. So, yeah. Jesus Christ. Going through all this, music, YouTube. What about your family life? What about your home life, your personal life, and everything? Wifey and I are in this transition. Layoffs are real, and she's in that position right now to where if she wants to get unemployment, she's going to have to not get paid for some weeks. Just to what? Just to get paid unemployment, which is also not adequate living. It's a lose-lose situation for us. But with her being home more frequent, it gives me more time to open up and focus on more content. So as much as we've been more live stream driven focus, now that YouTube is kind of shifting us into this other algorithm because we're close to this 2000, and we have a lot of backed up content that we've been working on that we need to release out there. We're going to do kind of what we did last week, but instead of the live stream thing, do the content thing and see how the YouTube algorithm handles it there. Because this is an ongoing thing when you learn, and you learn these things as you're going through it. Like, wait a minute, how come it's not doing numbers? Because these suppression algorithms are real. And I think YouTube has started to realize some things about the community and the shill community. Because during those moments of shill, there's a huge spike in interest. And it's surrounded by a very specific group of people. And those group of people are, I wouldn't say stealing, but they're sucking the numbers and taking them from the other channels. So there's a complete imbalance between the smaller channels and the bigger channels, especially when the bigger channels aren't performing like the smaller channels. I know bigger channels that have over 100,000 subscribers who can't even push more than 100 viewers on a live stream. They can't pull more than 3 people out of their live stream. We got people up in here. Connected people. Like Synth Samurai, leader of the Behringer Bros. Sorry, I had to do that. When the shill tsunami rolls in, I grab my surfboard. Luke Messenger. Great segue, my friend. Yeah, so Synth Samurai, when Synth Samurai got on here, he came up real quick, and because he realized, he's like, yo, we're going to do this wrestling shit. Yo, all biscuit, no limp. Run the gamut on everything. And yo, you put your numbers out from your stuff, and you have to get the numbers that you've gotten to, because you surpassed me super quick. Because when we met, you were, I think, at just over 1,000. I think you were just under like 1,600 or something. I don't remember. But when I started frequenting your channel on a regular basis, this is right when you turned the page and really started getting up there. But look at all the fucking shit you have to do just to make it there with it. And you know what ties it in and makes it pop? It isn't even all that shit that you do and the accolades you get from the YouTube algorithm. It's the fucking community. It's the kumite. It's the shit that gets people involved when you start talking about synthesis and shit. So even though you may be a victim of some of these suppression algorithms, I mean, all due respect, you have understood the algorithmic chaos enough to adjust your content to your liking to be able to build your community the way that you want to without the shill bullshit. I mean, you are heavily promoting Behringer, so you could say that you're a Behringer shill, but that's not the case, because if that were the case, you'd have more Behringer synths, right? And you'd be shilling, you just love synthesizers. That's all I could see, Maybe a rough around the edges, but who the fuck isn't? I start whooping out my tattoo and start busting raps. Motherfuckers retreat. You know? They don't want this smoke. I'm a shillbilly. Shill for free. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, I'm down with affiliate links when it comes down to it. That's how a lot of these channels survive, you know, especially if you're doing things to promote. But that's another thing that people need to realize. My contentiousness with Akai isn't because I hate Akai. I'm not one of these producers that hates or fucking anything about these companies. But one thing that I can't stand in business is paying for a product that you do not receive and then getting the fucking runaround after it. And then people defending that kind of behavior just because they want to unzip that pants and pull out a synth or pull out an MPC. I know I'm being crude here, but I'm quite crude. You know? I don't play that shit over here. I'm sorry, we don't. You know? And when it comes down to it, just with the content we doing, this is the shill. This is the promotion. I'm live with an MPC right here. Just this being in the background, this is promotion for Akai. Just this. So every piece of content you do that's beat making when you're outside in the woods, you know, making beats and doing whatever you're doing, you're promoting Akai's product. You don't need to fucking, You ain't got to do that shit. You're already doing it silently by putting their fucking MPC, their product, on your camera and showing everybody the features of it. That's the promotion. They're just getting that extra out of you because they've devalued you to the point to where you feel that the only way that you're going to receive that validation and that increase in numbers is by doing this thing that everybody in music production fucking hates about YouTube. That's why the professionals don't get on. But a lot of the professionals have realized, hey, there's a lane. There's a lane that is in a different direction than that is. That it has to do with the consistency of music production, the sonics, the performance. You know, I was looking at that video that I shared on the thing in the post yesterday. And it's just like Suwat. He goes around with his turntables and he does house music around England, right? This other guy's over here in the States. He's got, you know, his laptop, you know, his MIDI controller and stuff over here. And he's really putting things together. And he's just going out there live streaming for walking around, you know, doing things. I'm like, we're probably going to end up doing something like that. We're already outside with this shit. You know, that's one of the reasons why we moved to the Pacific Northwest. It's fucking great weather up here. You know, and shit, this shit's fun. This shit's fun to produce and play outside with, you know. But don't get it twisted. Every moment that we take this out and show it out on camera is a shill for Akai. Now, it's not a shill. I mean, it's a promotion, not a shill. We're not giving it extra credit. We're not making it seem like it's more spectacular other than putting the skin on it because, you know, we didn't want the fucking red. I told you I was in the market, Synth Samurai. You should have waited. If you would have waited, I didn't have the money for it. I couldn't have helped you in that situation anyway, and I couldn't have helped myself in that situation. If it weren't for the payments, we wouldn't have been able to get that. Don't get it twisted. We still ain't got the money for this shit. Just barely scraping by here. So, but I told you we were in the market, and we ended up with 2 because we got the other one over here too. Ali Star. Shabba! Yeah. What do you think is ideal for? What do you think is an ideal recipe for the channel cake? Live stream, pre-recorded, music performance, tutorial, all the above. If you really, really want to make it pop, one piece of content every week. One live stream every week. One short every week. One post every week. But if you really want to kill it, do that every day. maybe take one day off, make that day a Saturday, the least busy YouTube day. But yeah, they want you to do all the above. Ideal recipe, I mean, that's ideal for them. So I guess I misread that. And ideal. I don't think there's any ideal for doing music on YouTube. It depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to just have fun and play music and do music, there's a lot of lanes you could do and a lot of things you could do. But if you're trying to do other things, for us, it was just as simple as this. We do music anyway. This shit is really cool. Point cameras at it. Talk about it. And that's been the goal. From the production to the recording to the performance. Welcome. I appreciate you showing up in the chat. I know that you've been lurking and all that other stuff, but I really appreciate seeing my friends who I've known for a while in the chat, It feels good, It's the kind of thing that I was talking about with the hardware jams thing. It's the kind of thing that keeps people like us from quitting this shit. Because what do? Like we're almost 2,000, subscribers, which whatever, subscribers, schmibers, like I just love it because you guys are subscribed. Like I just am grateful and fortunate to have the quality of subscribers who are like I actually consider friends of mine that I've met in person, that that we have this similar mentality when it comes down to it, And I really appreciate you showing up, and thanks for the super chat the other day too. That makes a difference. After they taxed it, it's 97 now. It's just remember I was like, hey, I might actually that might put me over the edge. It put me right under the edge. Like, you son of a bitch. It's cool because they still give like another month or whatever before they throw it, because they only pay once every 3 months now. But yeah, with all this turmoil and all this shit going on, we're just like, yo, my wife getting laid off. She went DKA. We were going to release these, and then she went DKA. And the reason why she went DKA, and I explained this during the other live stream that we did, it's diabetic ketoacidosis. It happens when your ketones and blood sugars can't stabilize to where they're either, up or low. They were up in this case. We were fortunate enough to catch it early enough to where when we went to the hospital, which is what we did after the stream, that's why we didn't live stream on Friday, and that's why we didn't live stream yesterday. Because even though she was in and out of the hospital, we came here to eat, and she was ready to go, and we went back the same day. But it took all that time until yesterday afternoon to balance out to get her blood sugars under 300. But we were lucky enough to where we caught it in time to where the last time she was DKA, she was over 700. This time she was only in around the 500 region, 550, I think, when we went in. So it worked out to where we caught it in time to where all she needed, they did an IV bag in her and, some Zofran, and gave her the choice on whether or not she wanted to leave or stay there. So it was perfect. She was able to arrive just in time to be here for the weekend for Mother's Day. But the reason why she went DKA is because she's had this dramatic shift in her physicality, because she went to this dramatic shift when she started working on a regular basis and started doing these deliveries. And then with starting doing these deliveries, going through it, she'd be out doing stuff all day long, so she wouldn't eat in the afternoon. She really shortchanged her blood sugars and kind of screwed things up with the way that things go. Oh, here we go. Nora, I appreciate the super chat for sure. Thanks. I'm the ultimate lurker. You over it now, my guy. I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. It's just ironic the way that I said it before, because I was like, yeah, because I was lamely celebrating last time, and it takes a couple days to actually come through, and when it did or whatever, and I looked at it this morning, it made me laugh my ass off because it projected me back to that moment or whatever. But I appreciate you. I really do. So yeah, this difference with my wife, and then going from that physicality of changing. Now she's been home mostly for the past couple weeks. It's been like a 3-week thing to where she's been mostly home rather than not. So things are starting to shift with things changing with her diet and everything. Kind of puts her diabetes out of whack. And every other time, I just noticed this too, that every other time she's gone DK, it's been the same thing. There's been this dramatic shift in physicality that has kind of put things here. So, but she's good now. Mother's Day, and even though I ruined my Mother's Day. Hey, Mom, you know the deal when you show up to these streams, and especially pulling these records. Sometimes your son might get some racy records. Be fortunate, however, that I haven't played Brother Lynch Hug for the crowd. I play a little snippet on this piece of content or whatever, and don't do it. I play a little snippet of the chorus. Not the way that song begins, because that's a little extreme even for YouTube. Even me putting that in the end, it's still riding a line. But yeah. Guess what Daddy's bringing home? Supper. Yo. But the stuff that I used to listen to that she did here after she stopped trying to regulate my tapes, yeah. Words I cannot even repeat. So what do we got here? Anything? Okay, Superbooth. That is the main thing. This fucking mini freak sounding sharp. That's my preset. I'm using this for the hardware jam. You think that'd be good for a portal? That's not even including what I got on the MPC. I just got this to make a beat so I can... Oh, man. Every single one of these presets, I've completely maximized the potential of the sonics in these patches. And I can't wait. And it's a couple more days here, folks. God, playing these. Because first we're going to do a live stream. When we're official, we're going to announce it on a live stream, and then after that, we're going to do a no talking preset. But goddamn. The aftertouch. I've been playing with the Matrix lately, and I'm like, that's how they do it. I figured it out. I was like, how do they get that aftertouch sound to it? So I was trying to mess with the LFOs over here. The envelopes, like all the filters, like I was really like, why can't I figure out how they made I figured it out. It's in the Matrix. My most loathed part. Okay, Superbooth. Let's go. What do we do? Screen. All right, hold on. We'll do here. Okay. Let's do the viral beats. Okay. Pretentious. So Superbooth is currently underway. So hooray for that. Very dope. And yeah, let me make sure that we're good over here. Okay. So as far as the items for Superbooth, there isn't really. Okay, so for one, Superbooth has really become where the synth guys would prefer to go rather than NAMM. The only problem for us here in America is that it's across the pond. But damn, 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 damn. They always go all out and have great stuff going on. We have stuff posted in the Discord. Shout out to Sonic State, who have become like the go-to. My mom showed me this. It has the Egan Matrix in it, and it's kind of like a thing. These Soma guys were at here at the Synth and Pedal Expo, and same with this Demon Box over here. I think I got a little visual of that. These are just most of the non-modular items that I wanted to check out, but the main two that people are looking at are the Moog Messenger, which, god damn, man, this advert, like, I I like it, you know. I like the hold on. Like I like the tone, the darkness of it, but for like to sell a synth, I get it. I get what they're doing. That guy looked like Russell Crowe. They get Russell Crowe to play a synth. So this is the big news, really. And the idea here is derived from what the Sub 37, I guess. They just discontinued the Sub 25, right? And so it's an interesting, I would say, entry level, because it's really the first time something like this has been done in a small keyboard like this. So it's really along the lines of like maybe the Mini Freak and the Hydrasynth Explorer, but it's Moog, so it's bigger than that. How much bigger? $900. So it's about a $300 difference. I imagine they probably should have put it for $8 and just decided to squeeze that extra $100 out of it. It's a mono synth. I mean, which is good. There's nothing wrong with mono synths or whatever. We just prefer not. What the hell is this cryptic shit? See, and this right here, like, is this really Moog or is this In Music doing this? Like, is this like I'm just yeah, it is beautiful branding. I like it. I like the way that they put this out there, you know, in the woods. Uh, Lisa getting down on it was a good move on their behalf, but they already had that loaded in since the Muse, you know. It's like the obligatory, you got to do something, and yeah, it it looks okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. From what little I've heard, you know, it sounds all right. There's nothing wrong with it. It's an analog synth for 500 for $900. But we'll see. I reserve judgment until more people start showing content. I'm not going to play the ad, but I mean, goddamn, like this is what we're talking about here. So is this a Moog thing here? Because I know that Moog really goes all out, pulls out all the stops when it comes to their ads and stuff like that. But I also know that their marketing department isn't their marketing department anymore. Everything's under rule and thumb of the In Music brand now. So, you know, I don't know what level of combining their efforts do they do, you know, when it comes to the marketing of these things. It doesn't matter anyway, you know. We're not in the market for it. My mom's kind of poo-pooing it, so I don't think she's going to get one either. I'm not really a fan of monosynths, just because we're not key players. You know, it's just one of those things. Producer, I want one, but I wish I didn't have the grandmother. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Too much synth for me this year. I couldn't help think the new Moog looked kind of cheap. And that seems to be the consensus here. You know, people are saying that it looks maybe it's is it the carbon fiber looking plastic here? You know, this is ironically enough, it's like the same material that's on the top of this. Oops. Let me get it to the going around thing. It's kind of the same material that's on the surface of the sticker that's on the MPC. But I know, I mean, it's a different, you know, it's that polyplastic, you know, which nothing wrong with it. I mean, they make guns out of this shit, you know. It's not a chicken dick plastic is what I'm saying. You know, it's not just some cheap bullshit. But that doesn't explain how the mechanics are resolved on the internals. Because it could look how it looks. It could be just, I mean, look at the Fantom. The Fantom's a powerhouse beast of a fucking synth. But it also doesn't even have time stretching in the sampler. And polyphony issues that, you know, still aren't resolved. I swear that's Kurt Russell. It's cool. There's nothing wrong with it. Tactical MIDI says, no, I'll pass. Tactical MIDI. Welcome. All right, let's pass. We'll see how it goes once it hits the zeitgeist. God damn you. Or me. It's me, right? I'm the problem. Okay. Honorable mention number 2. And some of you guys might feel a way about this, but I got to tell you, I had the black box. My mom has the black box. She doesn't use it. She's not into the sample thing, but she really wanted it, and we needed an MPC. And that's not what happened this time around. That happened 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. So she's had it all this time. And it's a great, the screen is a lot more responsive than I thought on it. Great quality of sounds. 1010 Music has fantastic engineering. Shipping May 2025. That said, how do I feel about this? If anybody were to ask me, it looks good. It looks like the tactile feel that people were kind of missing out of the black box. USB-C. I don't think the black box has USB-C. I think they're all the noodle arms here. And yeah, the standard USB. And it has the 2. Good. And 900, so it's the same price as the black box was. I bet you that this sampler right here, that this engine, I bet you it's fluid. As somebody who, I didn't really dig too deep into the black box, but before buying the black box, I ingested a lot of content. Ricky Tina's has a bit of content on it. They're good. They're good with their shit. If somebody wants a portable sampler that's smaller than an SP404 or even smaller than I mean, a Live 2 is not really that small. So I would say Teenage Engineering KO size. This looks smaller than that. The original black box is certainly smaller than that. So if this is the contrast of the box, I'm sure it's a bigger box, though, because it's a bigger unit. But the contrast of the box looks like the difference between the box of the other one for the original 1010. See what's up here in the chat. Scrabblebees, welcome. To be honest, I don't care how it looks. It sounds good to me. Yeah. Yeah, 1010 Music is really on top of their shit. And it has been a really long time since the black box has been out. So they took the right amount of time to develop this. Let me look at the back of this. You know, ever since looking at IPs and stuff, I've been reading the backs of labels a little more. Mixer, you know, and that's the thing about it. Like, where'd it go? Is that the tall picture of it? Yeah, that's the tall picture of it. It won't let me zoom that one for some reason. It looks good, but we got this. And even though this is more portable, like I'd be better with this on the plane. And that's another thing about this thing, about these. The black box was the shit on the plane. For flights, way better to bring on the plane than an MPC. Way better. If you're traveling and flying, I think the 1010 black box is the best sampler that you could travel with. And since it doesn't have a battery, maybe does this one have a battery in it? Because the other one didn't have a battery in it. But it draws so little power, you could use a small charging pack and it'll charge it. It'll keep it going for hours, for as long as the pack's good for. Nice screen. Yeah, it is a nice screen. I agree. And I think the software in here is fluid. I don't know for a fact, but they really did a great job with the black box. And the black box was something that was already in existence. So even though the black box was its own little personal sampler, the black box was derived from a Eurorack model module from, and same with the blue box. So this is interesting here. Oh, it does have a battery. Look at that. Battery. Sweet. Oh, there's no detail on the battery, but top features. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, we already know that. Pressure and velocity sensitive. Are they MPE? Probably not. Learn how to work with or join the Facebook group, because that's what we did in the black box. So cool. I mean, it doesn't say anything about MPE, so... But again, I don't think it does, because the price point. I mean, it could, but I doubt it. Black box is definitely awesome. Take care, Carbon Vibes. Yeah, thanks for coming through, for sure. You got that goddamn right. Twin City Oxygen said Koala is the best bang for the buck of anything. Yeah. Yeah. I have seen that damn thing run the gamut. I have Koala, the Samurai Edition, and I still never used it. Which reminds me, hey, little Tussin over here. You out here? Is he out here? Yeah. Do you use Koala at all? He's got Koala. Because he uses, it's a sampler. It's a sample-based production app. It's like BandLab, but it's an app. Hold on. Well, he obviously doesn't use it because he doesn't know what it is. But I agree with you. It's definitely best bang for the buck. Okay. So as far as other things go, Superbooth, there wasn't really anything like major. Like these were the two like biggest mentions here was the Messenger and the Bento here. That's why they're the only ones we're going to talk about. Like I said, I got all these. Go to Sonic State's YouTube page. They run the gamut on NAMM and Superbooth now. So there's other things in here. And Love made this synth. I saw this already though. But yeah, I was kind of curious about this. Oh well, preview unavailable. We'll talk about that. We already talked about that. I don't know. I might get this. I'm not sure. I don't want to deal with fumbles for $40. So, just the price wasn't right for it. So this right here, this is another thing that happened this week. Cameron, a.k.a. Venus Theory, right after releasing the last effort. So let's go to our channel real quick and check when that was. This one right here. So the Forms piano right here. Immediately afterwards, Venus Theory, aka Cameron, released these drums. So he's got these on his Gumroad. The link is in the description. We also have pinned to our channel the affiliate link. We shill for Venus Theory. And, who the fuck doesn't? It's crazy, The most productive sound designer in the business, and he's put out a lot of decent sampler instruments and great stuff. We got plenty of drums, and this kind of came in an inopportune moment. Introductory rates minus $20, so that means $10 it's on sale for the introductory, and for 483 megabytes. So let's see. Hits, 10, booms. Yeah, so here we go. This is what it has. Processed one shots altogether, 173. So, yeah. So we may do a demo later as we get them going and do what we got to do with that whole thing. We'll get this soon enough and just add it to our mix. I don't think we're going to do content on it. Like I said, doing what we do here is the content, The bringing the MPC out and making the beats is the content. That's the shill. That's the fucking, we're already giving them free advertisement. As a matter of fact, our friend, the Crazy Wabbit, bought an MPC. I wonder how many people who fuck with the channel over here bought MPC Live 2s because we took advantage of that deal over there. Because even though they were vocal about it and everything like that, people that weren't looking at an MPC, all of a sudden, checking for an MPC after that, So, and Wabbit, Crazy Wabbit out here, he got one. And it's just stuff like that. Without any affiliate link or anything like that, it's just what we're doing over here production-wise is advertising enough for them. Like, haven't you done enough already? And we keep advertising. And it's not that we're advertising them for shill's sake. We use this equipment. We frequent this stuff. We make the music with it. We make the beeps go boop and do old knobby twisty the way that we love it. And that's just how things go. Just checking out all the messages I'm getting over here from the YouTube algorithm giving me the recommendations, so like I said, we're not going to quit on here, and we can't. Just the hardware jams would be enough for us to stay. If we did nothing else but hardware jams, that would be worth it. But we got Sundays. We'll be back on our normal schedule for Sundays next weekend. So if you guys want to participate, find a way to get a hold of me. Most of you guys already know how to contact me, and I'll be putting the thing out in the Discord and kind of letting it all out there. And, yeah, we'll be doing the damn thing for sure. And let me go over here and make sure that we're good with it. Yeah, we're good. That's about everything. So, yeah, we have a Discord here, but it's a what do you call that? There's a paywall behind it. We have an exclusive Discord that's reserved for I thought you were in it. That is with. It's for channel members, but we have a lot of people that have been grandfathered in. I'll send you an invite because I see you on Symptoms of Reality. There's people that were grandfathered into it, and there's people that I let in individually that don't need memberships, like our friends and stuff like that, like you, like people that we have known for a little bit. They don't need to cross that paywall to be a part of the Discord. So if you guys want to be a part of the Discord, just ask me, and chances are I'll hook you up, especially if I know you. If you're somebody that I don't know and you're just trying to evade membership or whatever, then, I'm going to tell you. But, like, I haven't turned anybody away from asking about a Discord yet. It's just, as we learned about Discord and function it, we've had it up since 2022. And learning everything that we have with it. We don't have moderators over there to manage the Discord. And I've seen Discords that get cluttered up with people acting a fool and saying and doing things they shouldn't. And I don't have anybody to manage it personally, and I don't have anybody here. I can't do it, professionally either because I'm too busy doing this other shit, And that's one thing about, the layoffs and, the way that things go here. It's like these things happen to tell you to pivot into doing something different. And we already saw the writing on the wall with this shit. So now we're just readjusting the way that we should. And we got more than enough work here to sustain a living. We don't need, although the super chats are helpful and the memberships are helpful and it all adds up in the end, all it does is put us in a position to buy more records, to get more plugins, to be able to display more content for you guys. Our Arturia stuff, our equipment, all the stuff that we get, even though, we get what we get because we need the tools that we need, there's stuff that we get specifically that we weren't able to get otherwise. So that's where it goes. It makes all the difference. But without a steady paycheck, it's not going to make a difference like that to earn a regular living until you reach a certain amount of numbers. But we're not doing this here for the numbers. We've got music to release. And the next thing on the agenda here is the Mini Freaky Tussin expansion. Self-shill. Hold on, let me double shelf shill here. Let me double this shelf shill up. This is where you will find the Mini Freak presets. Right now you see our latest single went up there. There's a 5-album bundle, which consist of the 5 albums that we've made on this channel since we've existed. And we made all of these on the Roland Fantom. That's why we got rid of the Roland Fantom. We don't need it anymore. We used it. We got our point of what we needed out of it, and we got rid of it promptly. That's what we do here. So this is actually free. So if anybody has this Mercury 6 synth by Cherry Audio, the Future's Present presets for it. They're I forget how many presets. Let me look here real quick. A collection across the mid. I didn't even put how many. I'll have to look to see how many. It's a nice collection. It's definitely worth the cost, But yeah. Oops. My bad, y'all. So this is where the Mini Freak presets will be at, and we'll be going live with it and announce it once they're ready. It's just about the thing, our visual videos over here. There's other stuff on the channel here. There's the origins of Virus Music and our history as a record label. There's my artistry channel, which is me at 18 years old. This is me at 18 years old. This is what I look like rapping at 18 years old. So yeah, back in the day shit. And we put a lot of our content on here, stuff that we do here and stuff that kind of gets tucked by the algorithm, stuff that you guys haven't seen. Here's me when I had the long hair and the Fantom over here. doing stuff with it. And yeah, these will be forever immortalized on the website. There's also a contact us over here and our rates for everything that we have here as far as beats production, stuff from the catalog and everything like that. So just a little self-shill, just to let you guys know where I'm at, what you guys can do to support the channel. We also have the memberships, going on over here. It's quite a bit of stuff. But you would think with all this stuff going on in these numbers and what we're doing that the algorithm would be more favorable towards us. They're starting to act more favorable now that we've been put into this other category, that we're this close to the 2,000 subscribers. And the only thing that means really is the other algorithm and then the affiliate link from Plugin Boutique, which may or may not make a difference. It's just one of these things. Like, we're not here to make money. We just need to sustain a living while we are here. And now that my wife got laid off and has this whole physical issue that she has to deal with as a result of the transition, it frees us up a little bit to do a little bit more. But we're also on the cusp of doing all this stuff that's already released anyway, like the music video that we did last week and the single that we released that's not going to be on any of the streaming platforms. Maybe when we come out and do the album, but as things go further along, I'm really thinking of doing a vinyl only release just for the hip hop album. We'll see how things go in the end. Play it by ear, because that's all we can do over here. And every time a situation, and I've said this, and this is like the theme of my life here, every time you are not getting what you are wanting, exactly what you want, and exactly how you want it, there's something in your life that you need to adjust. And when you do make that adjustment, you'll get everything you ever need and some, more so. And at that point that you are on the right path. And one of these things that happened that really blew me away, and one of the things that have kept us on here, we had a 2-month discrepancy in our rent. 2 months. She's missed all this work. We don't have enough to sustain a living. What the fuck are we going to do? Freak out time. Freak out time. So I was just trying, because I've had this principle ingrained in me to not stress out, because I understand that if you do the right thing, you get what you need, exactly how you need it, exactly when you need it. But how the fuck are we going to take care of a discrepancy in rent that's over $2,000 at the last minute with very minimal income coming in? The MPC Live 2 bill is $100 a month. It's like $90 or whatever. That shit bounced. Wasn't able to pay it. Paid it the same day. So within a couple hours of it bouncing, it's fine. Balance is fine. We're good on that. Our rent, fucking taken care of. And we didn't have to ask to borrow money from people. I didn't have to hit up my mom and try to, ask her for, help with $1,000 to kick the can down the road another month. I'm not going to tell you how it happened, but it happened. We did the work. We did what we were supposed to do, exactly how we were supposed to do it. And it was as if the moment we made the decision for my wife to leave her job and not let her string her along to not collect unemployment, to not hold on to something that can't sustain a living. Bless you. As soon as we let go of that, knowing ahead of time that we already had these signs show up that this is already coming down the road, Immediately, within minutes, everything worked out. Minutes. Fucking minutes. I had actual stress for the first time in my life in a very long time. As an adult, I don't have stress. I started meditating really early in life. I smoke weed. I do things. I make music. I exercise. I do things to prevent stress. And the biggest stress preventative measure that I could take is understanding. And having that understanding has calmed my nerves to a degree to where everybody around me freaking out. And I could talk, perfect clarity, snap, make these decisions, do what needs to be done, when it needs to be done, understanding the calculations that need to be made in order to make things work one way or another. It keeps my synapses going. It keeps me sharp. I lost that. I fucking lost it. And even before I lost it, I was like, man, I know that everything's going to work out. I know in my heart of hearts, I know in my spirit. You know, there's people I don't communicate with when we go through these issues. And that's not why we haven't been on live streams. We haven't been on live stream. Not for lack of trying. We did the vertical thing and we got kicked off in the record store. We got kicked off when we were out and about doing, there's something going on with the vertical live stream. So, you know, until further notice, they're kiboshed. I have a feeling that it might be because of being on the network instead of being on the Wi-Fi, which is going to be problematic if we're out there in the ocean or doing whatever. So, you know, I'm going to have to balance things out and try to figure things and, you know, do whatever, you know, before we go back to that. But even after crying tears of joy from being back at hardware jams and listening to Inky's, you know, Cresshead's Inky Jam, you know. Uh-oh, lost the chat. Okay, docs. Chat, come back here, guys. There you go. Think you needed to be reminded. Yeah, cool. Don't sell out for anyone. Yeah. Yeah, Cresshead, man, that Inky Jam and just tears of joy. But I still had the stress. But it was that really made it a lot easier. But that shit fucked with my heart. Like, that was the first time in years that I've experienced actual stress. And I really didn't understand the ramifications health-wise of a person my age experiencing actual stress, real stress. When all that shit worked out, just like that, it didn't melt away. I still felt the physical ramifications from that stress the following day. But what that taught me is that stress should have never been there. But it was there. It was real. You know, my fucking Zounds payment bounced. You know, we were a couple grand behind in rent. You know, we still got discrepancies in our bills that this YouTube channel should be able to fucking pick up just fine, especially with all the content we're throwing out here, all the music that we're doing, all the shit. It's fucking discouraging. And it's even more discouraging when you see your friends who have quit YouTube because of the same goddamn thing. They're giving it them all, their all, and just really putting everything that they have into it and just not having that benefit come out to it. You have all the love, and all the love is great, but what happens when you can't live? You know? It's like, What's that old saying? How motherfuckers talked out of going to school. Shorty can't eat no books. You know? There's a lot of people that started hustling on the street, and that's what the attitude was. You need food immediately, right then and there. What's a long line down the road thing going to happen? Take care of it. And you know what? It's crazy because, and I'm going to do content on this too. It's crazy how if you have a circumstance, and this just landed in our lap at the last minute because of the layoff. Yeah, we saw some things coming, but my wife did the noble thing and tried to give Amazon another week just to make sure, that if things aren't going to work out, we need to know, because it's pretty lucrative as far as like working. If you get your hours, it's enough to sustain a proper living, and that's a stark contrast from YouTube, and it really got to that point with us. And with people's responses to things that happen when you have an emergency and can't cover it. It is completely insane to me how many people, their response is simply, get a job. Get a job. The job is what did this to us. The job is the problem. The job is the reason why I ended up with 11 herniated discs after the job gave me 7. I wasn't compensated. I didn't even get my full disability for that year when I was still had my benefits. That took me out for 5 years to where I couldn't do anything. And now that I'm finally in a position to where I'm able to physically handle a job, I'm limited on what types of jobs I could get. But I'm unlimited in the type of jobs that I qualify for musically. I know how to do just about everything musically. I have a degree in audio production. I'm this close to a degree in music business, and the only thing separating me from that is a couple business classes and a couple math classes. It's crazy. Mr. Clark is a killer gold. My cousin. I didn't know him before getting on this YouTube shit. But I know my family history. I know my lineage. And me and this fool are related. I knew that when we met. I was like, yo, it's crazy. You can't trade these experiences in. But more importantly than that, you can't put a price tag on infinite. And the trick isn't to get a job for people like us. Because, what the fuck do I qualify for? I could only do certain things physically before the herniated discs start, coming through and preventing me from working for another several years. You think I'm going to take that risk with my family again? Wifey went DKA because of the job. You know what I mean? This shit, health-wise and all this other stuff, it ain't no joke. It ain't no joke. But it's just crazy how dismissive people are to immediately pivot to try to hold on to the very thing that is causing the problem for your life. And the problem is these greedy corporations, politics, and society being what it is, does not make it working a day job for a living a sustainable wage. No matter how much you get paid, you end up paying more just to maintain that job. And you could get paid enough to where you can maintain it and take care of those things fine. But when you got a family to take care of, school-age children that you can't do anything but put into daycare, you know how much daycare costs? Lil Tussin may be a genius and almost 9 years old, but he's not 10. So he ain't legally even able to go to a babysitter, or whatever. We'd have to take him to a babysitter. He's not able to go stay home by himself so we could both work and do whatever. You know what I mean? And then think about the timing of it all. Right on the cusp when all this shit is going on, I got 2 commercial albums, full commercial albums that I'm in the process of working on that are already produced almost completely. I mean, not almost. The Hip Hop Undead's a little bit more abstract or whatever. I'm really doing things with that as far as taking care of things. I got 5 instrumental albums on the website. Got these preset. There's all this stuff that, I'm able to put these skills to use. But if I'm using this platform as the primary to convey those things that I have available, it's not going to work. YouTube suppresses that shit. There's not a big enough audience to sustain that. But it's crazy because even if you look at the sale of each album is $250, but if you get the 5 album bundle for $5, if you do the math on that, shit, even if 1,000 of the subscribers got the 5 album bundle for $5, giving us on this side 5,000 minus taxes and all the other fees and stuff, probably about 3,800, which is a great thing as far as an injection. But like, once that sale is made, it's not something that's sustainable. And $3,000 ain't shit, I mean, we were just almost at $3,000 right now. You know what I mean? But that's the thing. It's so quick that things could turn sideways, and just a little politics will change a company, and like I said, all these layoffs were already baked into the cake, but that cake came out a bit early with this election and with the shit that has been going on as a result of it. And working for one of the corporations, one of the most greedy corporations that is involved in this whole circumstance here in America, an American lifestyle. Here we go. From the job to the welfare office, everything's getting cut. That's the life that we live right now. It's crazy to have such a rich world and such a wealthy country and have so much poverty and have so much typical and regular discrepancies in finances, while these corporations pull in what they do and they just kill their workers. They just drag us down. My wife and I both are victims of major multi-billion-dollar conglomerates running their employees into the ground. What do you do after that? What do you do after that when you have permanent spinal issues that prevent you from working a full-time job? What do you do when you have type 1 diabetes, but your insulin is on the chopping block because your disease is $5,000 a month that if you didn't have Medicaid, you would die? Guess what other cuts are coming? You know how expensive food has been getting lately? We got cut from all that shit because we were on food stamps before, her getting this lucrative job with a multi-billion-dollar company. You know what that did? It disabled any ability to have any help for anything. And we only had what we have to go through it, which means paying for a lot more. So all that extra money doesn't mean shit when you have a fucking garnishment that takes out $800 a month of your paycheck when you're just getting started with your job. Oh yeah, we've been dealing with that the whole time she's been working at her job. Why do you think this decision was made the way that it was? Her getting a job was the problem, is the problem. Now what do we do? Not a good time to leave YouTube, but I'm not going to start operating different and shift the way that I'm doing things to try to aggressively market my product to you guys because we're struggling or because we had this issue to deal with. You know how much we've struggled here on YouTube with this channel financially? Fuck, man, we had a lot where you think this is bad? 2 years ago, when I had to sell my first MPC Live 2, it was way worse then. You know? We've got support and help and friends. I feel you. I have 3 kids, and it's hard to keep a positive mindset. It is. It is, especially if they're school age and you got to worry about childcare. And childcare is unreliable. The people that work childcare are like bottom of the barrel employees for the most part, and a lot of shit happens in daycare. So you got to go with a private babysitter. You know how much that shit cost? A whole entire job's worth. That's why when it's only 2 people and 1 kid, one person's got to stay home. Otherwise, 2 parents are going to be gone all the time and your kid's going to be raised by somebody else and you're paying an entire wages worth of fucking job just to fucking have that kid be raised by somebody else. Nah. We ain't doing that shit. But it's crazy how we did everything the right way as far as society standard goes. And this is what we end up with. An eviction notice. So yeah. Layoffs are real. And the physicality of doing all this work, it's hard. It's difficult, especially for musicians when you're trying to exist in this zeitgeist where, you know, music is not rewarded. And already, especially in American society, music is not rewarded. So you take a platform like YouTube where music is rewarded about as much as Spotify rewards musicians. There's a reason why we pulled our shit off of streaming platforms. You know, you can't lose if you don't play. I think the first time I heard that was on The Wire. So when it comes down to this shit here, I don't mean to be all like, you know, down in the dumps. I was going to do a live stream and be like, yo, I'm really feeling it. I really need that support. But I didn't want to, one, give the impression that my finances were in a position to where I was asking you guys for anything. And 2, I didn't want to give the impression that I needed to use you guys to make myself feel better emotionally, even though I was feeling down in the dumps and shit was getting weird. I didn't want any change in my behavior to be reflected through. That's why I don't even talk about this shit until the situation's over with. And it's not over with. We still got a whole life to live. We still got a whole, you know, we still got a whole thing to take care of here. We're still on YouTube over here. We still got these many, like. So as far as things go here, we're doing this hardware jam. We'll put it up. And, you know, it's Sunday. Next week for Sunday, we'll do our group chat about hip hop and the state of hip hop. But yeah, that's the thing about this, you know. It's being real, don't worry. Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. I really don't when it comes to you guys because, like I said, you know, we don't lose subscribers like that. We usually retain our subscriber base because most of you guys are friends that we've known for quite some time. So when somebody comes in here and says that something that we're doing is trash while we're in the middle of making a beat, I could stop by and say, hey, that's really weird for you to say, and especially say in the chat around all of our friends here while we're just cooking. That ain't the place for it. You know, like, yeah, that happened last week. And, you know, it's funny because, like, I deal with it a lot different because I don't give a fuck like that, you know? It's not that I don't give a fuck about things that I should give a fuck about. Is I don't give a fuck about the goddamn system that's in place Fuck the system that's in place. We have lost so much of our livelihood because of the system that's in place. And it's all these areas of expertise. It's all these businesses. It's all these genres. It's not just music. It's not just YouTube and social media. All these companies are putting the squeeze because they have put themselves in a position to leverage themselves to be able to put the squeeze on everybody. So it's like I said, from the job to the welfare office. It's cutting time. You know what that means? We ain't having this shit. We're going to do what we need to do, how we need to do it, no matter what. I don't give a fuck if you guys don't like the fact that I call Akai fumbles for fumbling around and having 4 different support tickets within the same fucking week and denying me the right to 2 products that I paid for, one of them being a brand new launch and the other one being a launch of a goddamn thing that they released months ago that they shouldn't have any problems with at this point because it's been since January. And I'm just going to sit here and be silent about discovering all this upon getting in the NPCs again because maybe Akai will fuck with me and give me an NPC Live 3. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. You could have your chill and have your fun and do what you need to do. Go have that. I'm going to make the music that's doper than anything you've ever heard in your entire life. That's what I'm going to do. And even if you heard something doper, it don't matter. I'm still going to make the dopest shit that I've ever made in my entire life. Fuck what y'all talking about. I still love the tools, you know. Don't get me wrong, you know. All this, like, there's only the thing here. Because we do this shit. You know, it's the love of things that will never be broken by any of these spineless multi-billion-dollar conglomerates or any kind of fuckery that they're trying to do. Even YouTube. Fuck them. If we get wiped out as a channel and all of our content that we work so hard on gets eliminated, so be it. It was never meant to be. Shit like that happens. You know? All the secrets of my family probably burned up with Ann Hutchinson in her house. But still get to piece together what's happened since then. There are ways to make things work without being a fucking shill for a company that doesn't give a shit, that's already given a bunch of free advertisement from all of us. All of the customers and all the people that use these products on a regular basis and show these off on their channels, just playing them, especially the professionals. Why do you think they throw gear at you when you start winning Grammys? They want you to make your next hit with their gear. Just imagine if my status as an artist would be at that elite level to where I'm winning awards and getting notoriety or whatever. Akai would be real quick on that phone to throw me an NPC now, wouldn't they? That seems to me like a lot better than shilling, but I don't want that shit. I mean, sure, if I'm going to use it for something or I have some fucking benefit that comes from it, but I'm not going to pivot my music and my art just for the sake of selling somebody else's product when it's already selling itself with me using it. I'm already a shill to a certain degree. But I shill for myself and my friends and the music. Shit's real out here, y'all. And yeah, bullshit drama aside, everything's working out exactly how it should be. The reason why there's this uptick in activity, it isn't because we're desperate and need to increase the activity for the sake of content. No, it's actually the quite opposite. It's because it's getting nicer outside, so there's a lot more adventures outside to do. I'm working on studio albums, and actual music, and all this stuff is being released in the process. Some of it we're using, some of it we're not. But if any one of these companies is going to half-step and deny us the right to our own products, they can go fuck themselves. But you best believe I'm going to do my due diligence and find out what's what and figure out whether or not it's even a legitimate thing to consider talking about if I'm going to spend my time to produce some content on it. And the only reason why I did that Fumbles video is because I am one out of a whole bunch of customers within music that is constantly getting screwed out of our own products just because they're still fumbling around with their software. They still haven't figured it out after all these years. They extended their sale for another month. Why? Probably because they're fumbling around with their software. There's probably going to be an MPC Gate 3 as much as we all would like to not have it. There's going to be somebody that is so into the company that they'll deny the right to their own facts, eyes, and ears and knowledge for the sake of having that authoritative perspective on the latest, what they love so much. And just maybe, these companies will give it to them and appreciate all the advertising that they've done for them. Yo, that Lo-Fi Dirt, it's a good plugin, but it's a $20 filter plugin, and it's not that serious. It's not. The fuck are these faces people are making? That's what's fucking up YouTube. It's not them fucking with the algorithm. They are fucking with the algorithm because you guys fucked with the algorithm by doing all this heinous shit. They're trying to compensate. They're trying to recalibrate and find out why there's the discrepancy with these people in this niche that are underperforming and these people that are overperforming but underproducing their content. It's crazy. You know how many whack beats I heard with that Scott Storch and that damn West Coast pack? Like, goddamn, man. At least get people out here that like are good at what they do, and I know that's subjective too, but shit, man. So I think that's all this is with the YouTube thing and the algorithm changing, because we're not affected by it. I mean, yes, we're affected by it in a general perspective, but we're not having any discrepancies. There's nothing happening that's different from any way that it's happened before. As a matter of fact, we're reaping some of the benefits that we weren't reaping before because we're closer to that 2,000 mark, so we're actually in that algorithm now. And I know it's just us. We're not the standard for everybody else as far as the way that these algorithms, but I noticed that these people are complaining are the bigger channels. And I'm looking at some of their channels and their content, and I'm like, maybe that's the issue. Maybe pivot your content and let YouTube give us our time to shine and put our content out. Because even though the contentiousness won, and it always wins in this zeitgeist when it comes to the internet, you know, we're still doing the damn thing the way that we should, you know? And if that wasn't the case, that shit with the whole rent thing would have fucked up this channel and we wouldn't have been able to do it. We have put ourselves in a position to be able to remain on YouTube for at least another 2 to 3 months. Do you have any idea what I have scheduled for this month? Oh my God. Yo. I'll tell you guys because you're here. My mom. You guys know that she's into synths, right? Shout out to her. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. She ended up giving us this Mini Freak because she gasped for that Mini Freak Stellar. She had to have the all black. And she asked, she said, "Do you think you would want?" After she already gave it to me to borrow for the channel, I was just playing with it to show you guys that, it, you know, hey, look at this Mini Freak. Finally, we get to, you know, mess with it and see how it is or whatever. And now it's like, not only, you know, our favorite synth, you know, but we got the Freaky Tussin pack. 140 presets, custom made. Everything is cohesive. It's not just what you have in the month. It's not what you have the next month. It's not what you have in the next 6 month, year, whatever. If you're working on what you're working on, keep working on it. If it doesn't pay you money right away, don't worry about it. It'll pay you money when it's time to release. That's why I haven't been concerned with any of this shit. I even told my mom, I'm like, speaking of which, I have enough, gross domestic product within the next couple months to go out there to where even if I do a soft sell on a low level, it'll be enough to sustain a proper living. We've been working that hard. That's why there's this uptick in our activity here. So, yeah, my bad about the sadness and the depressiveness and the contentiousness, but, God, you should have seen it the other day when we were in the shit house. Maybe that's why the universe kicked us out of our stream when we were live and, doing our record pool and everything like that, Probably would have let something slip up that probably shouldn't have. I don't know. You never know with these kind of things. You don't know the agenda unless you know the agenda. And I know the agenda here. And the agenda is making music, producing these records, and doing what we're doing. The only reason why we do these packs is because we're using them. We're making them for ourselves, so we might as well make them available for everybody. I have a very specific sound. I have a signature. We call it the Tussin. We did it with the converted Tussin pack with the Fantom. We're doing it here with the Mini Freak. We'll probably do one on the MPC. Maybe not. I don't know. It just depends on how things go. But you never know. But when you've been through this before and you've had these kind of discrepancies, you kind of know how to readjust to them. And music's one of those things to where you do a lot of work for a long time with zero pay. But once you are ready to release, once you go out there with your album and you're ready to tour and you're able to do whatever it is you need to do with it, it's all fluid after that. You get paid a decent amount, you run the gamut, you do whatever you need to do, and you come back and you do another one. That's what it all comes down to. You run the gamut, you come back home, and you do it all again. And usually the residuals from whatever you ran the gamut that time sustains your living while you're producing the rest of the music. The only reason why we haven't been able to do that here is because we originally got on here and tried to make it on YouTube and try to do things to pivot to make the YouTube channel bigger for the sake of things that we didn't understand about having a YouTube channel. Understanding those things now and putting things into perspective, this is the deal. All these discrepancies are just the standard of learning. And this time that we've pivoted away from doing the hip-hop music, and we've explained this before, or I've explained this before. I thought we were going to produce our way into the sunset and never rap another bar again. I never knew that I'd be working on a hip-hop album and have the best pen game that I've ever had and am more proficient lyrically, and musically, production-wise. I needed this time on YouTube to dig into synthesis because I wasn't. The Fantom brought it there. Destructo flicked me over the edge with his proclivities over there. I see you. Sucker. And everything that we've learned digging into it the way, because we didn't just dig into it. We dug into the soft, because I never thought that we would dig into software synths, because I always dismissed them because the difference in the discrepancy between hardware and software. that gap has closed a lot more as of recent. And with that gap closing, exploring all these synths on the channel, both hardware and software, I've learned so much about synthesis and being able to incorporate it into my production. It has created the tussin. And we needed that to move forward musically. So everything that happens now musically is completely unrelated. I mean, it's not completely unrelated. It's all cohesive, but digging into the records for the first time in 25 years, sample-based production again, going back in the MPC and throwing this out and, what we've got planned here, and that's the thing. I know that the universe doesn't care about your plans, so when you make them, they could all go to shit. But if you plan accordingly with what you're supposed to be doing, you're fine. And this whole situation happening was a lesson in being fine and not stressing no matter how bad it gets and how deep the rabbit hole goes. If I have another episode like that and actually experience stress as an adult, I'll probably be in the hospital next time. I was almost in the hospital this time around. I had no idea. I mean, I've heard people say it. I had stress when I was a kid and shit like that, but it's not the same. I never understood the way that I understand now how detrimental stress is to the human condition, especially when you're starting to reach the older age. And I see people in their 50s and 60s that are all stressed out and wound up, and I don't understand how they do it. I don't get it. I mean, of course, there's frivolous shit to be stressed out about. It took the weight of our goddamn place over here, the job situation, the DKA, the presets being pushed back, all this shit going on with YouTube. And it was the weight of all that did it. But the path has been clear for us, for me, for quite some time. And I've been following that path to a T. It's been dictating everything that we've been doing here. I made a couple attempts on doing the no talking preset exploration because we still have to do those for the Arturia stuff. But something took me out of that element, physically, personally, whatever it was. But you know what I do? I don't try to do it again. I realize that there's a very strategic, specific reason why that pivot needs to happen. And I just move on to something else. So while these presets I had clocked in and penciled in as being released last Monday or something like that, last Saturday when we did our sound design thing over here, yeah, it obviously didn't happen that way. But now, instead of riding against that line and worrying about this shit, I'm not worried about this shit. There ain't no riding up against the line. I could take the time that is needed to make sure that everything is on point, to make sure that my game is where it needs to be. That's why I practice. I'm rehearsing for a live performance. You guys are going to see it here because I'm going to perform live here. I'm going to set this whole room up over here to do trusses and everything and do a whole lighting system and do an actual live performance here. I might go somewhere else and do it actually, but still, I'm setting up for that. I'm doing things that you guys are unaware of because there's not enough time or camera or adjustments. The amount of effort it takes to produce this content, even to just go live like this, it's a lot of work. The same way that going through this and talking about all this shit, it's a lot of work. I mean, yeah, this is just talking. This ain't shit for work as far as physicality goes. I mean, it's just sitting here, you know, fuck am I talking about? But when there's this understanding of what needs to be done and you're just narrowly focused on it, it gives you the strategic timing to be able to deal with anything that interferes with that. And if I could impart any advice or wisdom or whatever, something that I learned about it is that you're not being derailed from what the plan is, from what your plans are. The pieces go together. The timing fits. It's specific. It wasn't right that time, so it's right a different time. And this time, you should spend your time doing this instead. The entire content and schedule of this channel is dictated by that very thing. That's why there's still been stuff that we've been working on for more than a year that hasn't been released. That still we're going to release it. It's just not time for it yet because we've been pivoted to other things. The priority here are the Mini Freak presets. And like I said, we're done. We're just renaming. You know, it takes some time to come up with some 140 new names. So then after that, do the final test. And then we do the live stream, which should be this week. It would have been last week, but we had some shit to take care of. And while everything isn't taken care of, my mom, sorry, I didn't mean to derail from this sentence, but that's what happens when you get involved in this shit. She'll be here, and she's going to spend a week with us, right? She's in between jobs right now. She's not in between. She's in between assignments. You know, she's not in between jobs. She got a job. She just, you know, and there I go, you know, doing that same shit. So I'll tell you guys here, I'm going to go get some of my dad's records out of storage. I don't know how many of you guys were here when I told this story, but after my father passed away and his records were all left behind at my stepmom's house, my wife was still in Phoenix and she was able to grab them. And so I was able to make it down there, and I gave more than half of them to his audio engineer, guitar playing best friend. And then what was left over as far as the stuff that was very specific towards what my mom wanted out of the collection went to her. So she has the main records my father had that I enjoyed listening to. I'm going to do a Synthspirations episode, having these records in front of me. We're going to do some content so I could discuss these records and kind of do what we're doing here with the other records. And it's just kind of going to be incorporated in with our regular weekly vinyl record pulls and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I'll be doing content on it too, going through it. So I think that's going to be either Wednesday or Thursday. We're going to hit up storage. If not, it'll be sometime this weekend, but whenever it is, I'm going to make adjustments around it. It said it wasn't going to be very nice today because like yesterday was like a nice day, and I was trying to get out and do something, you know, on the MPC, but that didn't work out. But wifey's doing okay now. She's back. She's out of the hospital. She got out real quick. You know, every once in a while we're reminded of this. I mean, diabetes is not something that you're just reminded of as a type 1. You know, you're reminded of it every single day because you got to deal with it nonstop. But it really reminded us on the physical adjustments that you make when you transition between employment and everything like that, and really, especially when you're doing physical labor, and how bad it is when you got diabetes and issues to deal with. It's rough out here, but we're gonna make it. We're gonna make it together. So yeah, never mind the BS. We're good over here. It's just I hadn't experienced stress like that as an adult. Period. I had some stress with my baby mama, and my oldest, especially during the court battle. But you're talking 10 years ago, and then before that was like another 10 years ago. I mean, shit. This is like the third, fourth time I've experienced stress as a grown adult, and it's weird. But extreme highs, extreme lows, it's rough. So, and I know that you guys out here, a lot of our friends out here are experiencing physical and financial turmoil, and I just wanted to tell this story, I don't want to make you guys feel any kind of way about it, but comfortable with the fact that you guys aren't the only ones struggling. And even with all this shit going on and seemingly, a successful YouTube channel, now that YouTube is actually like treating us as a YouTube channel for once. Yeah, there's a lot of work behind the scenes. There's a lot of darkness behind the shit that goes on. And, you guys got to remember here that we're still running this out of a 2-bedroom low-income apartment, with a school-aged child and a type 1 diabetic, and I have a physical injury, that takes me out of the running for 80% of the work here in town because it's all service-based related, So it's like I have to find the perfect job that fits perfectly, which is bullshit, because nothing is going to be out there and available enough for me to make more than what I can do here with this shit. There's not anything out there that could do better, because I only qualify for the very base service level industry jobs that force you to break your back. How do I do that when my spine's already compromised? That's why I wasn't able to get workman's comp out of my job, because I already had a previous herniated disc that I was treated for 8 months for. So I couldn't go up against their team of lawyers to tell them that it was their fault and it was their job, and running me into the ground was the reason why I ended up with 11 herniated discs and not being able to fucking dress myself. But you live and you learn through these experiences, and what I've learned about all this shit is that I will never, ever, ever, no matter what it is, deviate from this music shit. The whole time I was working as a janitor, I didn't do any music. I was on the executive board of SEIU Local 49. I was on the apprenticeship committee. I was on the workload committee. And I was an apprentice myself doing this apprenticeship program. On top of Lil Tussin just being born and the shit that we had to deal with up to this point. Which in the end, the injury resulted in the homelessness. I mean, it was a sequence of events, but we were homeless before we started here, this channel, in this apartment. Appreciate you. Yeah, and that's the thing about it. I feel that up to probably about a year ago, it was all trial and error. And then from a year ago to now, it has been just dialing in our formula enough to manipulate these algorithms to our advantage without compromising the music, our integrity, our friendships, and being able to maintain on top of all that, you know? It's hard out here, but I mean, I'm not selling my equipment, so we're not that far gone. I mean, 2 years ago, while we were still on the channel, we were selling the equipment, you know, and we still sell shit on a regular basis, but it's because we don't need it anymore, not because we're hard up for money. You know how much I got for that Fantom? $700. You know how much money I took for that Fantom? Yeah, go ahead. I didn't need it. They're selling that shit for $18.95. God damn, they ain't never gonna sell that shit. That's just gonna be in there forever. Yeah, so we're also gonna go up there and stream from Briz, you know, and if we're not, we're gonna do content on that. So, but yeah, I appreciate you guys. I really do, and we are going to be. I wouldn't say more consistent because, like, we're just as consistent as we need to be. Just sometimes I want to do a schedule to where every day we're the same time, but it's just life be lifing and all that, you know, shit happens, you know, so you might have to take a week to where you got to address these issues, you know. Eviction's a real big issue, you know, fucking diabetic ketoacidosis is a big deal, especially in the hospital, you know, but things worked out. And they took care of it, actually. You know, they didn't treat her as a type 2 diabetic, thank God. You know, but, yeah, she was in and out. And as long as we worked on getting things resolved, and as much as we were pushed up to that very end date, it worked out. No matter what discrepancies we got, it does not matter because we have what we need more than anything. And that's you guys, you know what I mean? We need... And it's not that you guys, oh, we need you guys, you know, and all that other shit. It's just, you know, in order for these YouTube channels to work, we all need to be interactive with one another. That's why I support and promote Sarah Tuil, you know, Kirk State, even though I'm not on his channel or, you know him like that. You know, Sarah, it's different because I've been on her channel since, you know, 3 years ago or whatever, you know, longer than that. You know, I've been... You know, we talk, you know, time to time, you know, here, you know, so it's dope, you know. Just all the people, you know, in private, behind the scenes, all the conversations that we've had, you know, the other YouTubers, you know. Shit, Cure Gold's got a YouTube channel over here, you know. Little Tussin out here beatboxing, you know. We all are trying to make it work in some way, you know. Most of us have YouTube channels, actually. Shit. Thinking about it realistically, like, I would say probably 60-70% of people who are subscribed to this channel have their own channels. Whether it be the channel that they're subscribed from or a different secondary channel, like, most of you guys have channels that you're working on. And a lot of you guys have audio production channels that you're working on. And learning these lessons and how to, like, freak these algorithms is one thing, but, like, staying tightly knit as a community is the jam. Pun intended. So we got the hardware jams coming up. We got some content going out in the morning of how this record ruined Mother's Day. And then got some other content going on, and the Mini Freak pack is the priority this week. So be on the lookout for that. Like I said, we're going to be doing a live stream and then a preset exploration, no talking. And then, we'll just see where it goes from there, because that's the thing. There may be all these other things planned, but by the time the Mini Freak presets get out there, it's record pool day. So, you know, here we go. And there's also the mixtape that we're making from the results of the record. So we also have to do a stream that we're pulling all the records and the instrumentals, because we already have 2 mixtapes worth of instrumentals. We have to dig through and find out what we're going to use for this one mixtape. I'm just a supporter for now. You're quite the supporter, you know. I see you everywhere. You know, and that's the dope thing, you know, like I see most of you guys in other places. You know, we talk a lot throughout the day. I could not stream for a whole month and we'll have full-blown conversations in between now and then without even making a fucking phone call. You know, we out here for real, for real, for real, real. But yeah, the Freaky Tussin Mini Freak presets are the priority. But making sure that we got a jam ready to go for hardware jams is also the priority, because especially after the way that Cress had in that end, after that return, at such a great return, such a moment. And that ending, be more inky. You know, she was such a great person. I cheated myself by not talking to her more. But yeah, our friends have been really close, and it just reminded me what we are doing here. Not only in hardware jams, but in these jams with our friends over here. Fuck the bullshit, fuck the drama. And if old Fumbles wants to get in on this, they could get it. Just the same. But that's the thing about it. If there weren't anything to fumble, there'd be no fumble to be called Fumbles. You know? How much is enough from these fucking companies? You know? Shout out to Arturia for doing things right and not having shit for discrepancies. Shout out to Shure for always being a solid company. That's the only really other piece of gear that we need, and we don't even need it right now, is that Nexodyne. That Nexodyne microphone. We're going to get a cardioid rather than a super cardioid, but we're going to get wired rather than wireless. Probably get a wireless down the road or whatever, but yeah. Make sure you guys leave a like on your way out. You know the routine. Subscribe if you're not subscribed and all that. And we'll be back next Sunday with our episode of Sundays, where we're having this collective conversation about hip-hop. So we'll see how far that conversation goes. So the Mini Freak presets, and then everything is going to be dictated to work on that. And in the meantime, we'll be throwing some content out there and, you know, doing the things that we need to do, and supporting our peoples out here, you know, and just, yeah, continuing to support our people out here, because we know that regardless on what we've been going through with all of this, there have been some people, and there are some people out here in this music shit, you know, and especially being on, you know, YouTube and everything, that haven't made it professionally, you know, on doing this, you know, but they are still here personally, you know, but we got to make sure to keep our musicians on this platform. Nick Destruct. Welcome. We're actually just signing off here. You know, we've been on for 3.5 hours damn near on this Mother's Day. You know, wifey's been home for a minute, but she's enjoying the time with the kid. You know, he actually made a proper card for her this year, so it's pretty cute out here. Oh yeah, that's another thing that happened. His head. So that was it for that. So, okay, so that's there. So where's the damn thing? Oh, just gotta make sure. Yeah, I appreciate you guys coming through. Okay, see. Yeah, that's it. Standardized tests. That's another thing. I think we talked about that. Little Tussin did a standardized math test. Early. It's a good thing, too. Because if you would have done it on... That would have been... See, this is how when you know everything happens succinct is exactly how it should. I was told the wrong time by his teacher about his testing. But he told me either Thursday or Friday. We chose Thursday. I dropped him off. He did his test. When he came home after we picked him up, he said it wasn't supposed to be today, but it's okay. They still let me test anyway, and they threw him in with a class of people that were doing the test within the school. It's state standardized testing. So he has to do it, homeschooled be damned. But we were going to take him on Friday instead of Thursday. Friday is when she was DKA in the hospital. That's when we did our thing over here and listened to the records and went an hour early, and we were only like 20 minutes away from taking care of everything. But yeah, that's why we didn't come back on Friday or Saturday. But here we are. But yeah, it could have went the other way. I mean, I know if, could haves and, all that shit, sounds like somebody's got a case of the supposed tos. It's just those things that are perfectly succinct, and you're like, oh shit, that was orchestrated specifically for it to happen that way, wasn't it? And even though we did the work in doing what we did, we did the right thing to take care of the things that we needed to take care of. Because if we didn't and we weren't doing the right things, it wouldn't have worked out. So we just got a whole boatload of confirmation bias for her to leave her job before her job leaves her, because she's already lost her fucking hours and we're already buried financially because of it. To continue this path of doing what we're doing over here, because by taking care of everything, we have effectively bought an extra month or two to be able to continue to grind out at our work. 3, we only need a couple of weeks. So anything else that happens is just icing on the cake. But I guarantee you that what I have working on right now is enough for us to sustain a living, especially if she's home to manage her diabetes, mental health, and to be here for a little Tussin the same way that I have been, So that way Daddy could get to work and focus and get the shit done. So yeah. It's not to cry about my problems. It's to let you guys know we got it figured out over here, and we're going to continue this shit no matter what the fuck happens. Zeitgeist be damned. Shills be damned. Companies be damned. Layoffs be damned. American politics be damned. God damned. Oh shit. You guys ran a whole stream in this time. Trust my monkeys. Welcome. That was a really violent intro. Trust my monkeys. Better. There you go. I didn't know I was going to talk for this 3.5 hours. But yeah. It's crazy going through these experiences, like knowing ahead of time it's the standard, and then just the confirmation bias of it all. But this wasn't really for me, this whole situation. I mean, the stress, I did learn that even with all my meditation and all my methods and doing everything that I do, there's still stress to be had. And God damn it, I experienced that. Jesus Christ, that was rough. But other than that, it wasn't my lesson, really. I mean, it kind of is to a certain extent, but it's mostly for my wife over here. How does she make a proper exit and be able to maintain and take care of things, with still maintaining and taking care of things. If we didn't have the emergency to take care of, things wouldn't be taken care of, and we'd still be struggling along the line down the road and trying to figure things out. We don't have that task in front of us now. With that task out of our view, clear path. Clear path. I was going to join EA Ski for the Zoom on Saturday, and I told him, I was like, yo, I got things all set up and ready to go, but life had different plans. Even though wifey was already at the hospital, like I said, it took her until yesterday afternoon to, fall below 300. That was a slow taper down to drop her blood sugars, but, she got it there. Everything's all good. We're good. So who's coming with us? Who's going to join us next week for our discussion panel about hip-hop music? I'll put word out in the Discord. If anybody wants to be a part of the Discord who's not, just hit me up. There's ways to get a hold of me, social media, and through our website and all that, and I'm on other Discord servers too, so just let me know if you guys want to be a part of it, and I'll put the word out in a couple days after we finish what we're doing over here. But, yeah. Let's, wrong one. I still got to do those. I still got to figure out which ones are which. I got a bass line or something like that for hardware jams. We still got all night to work it out. We'll see what's going on. Take care, everybody. We'll be seeing you before next week in the Zeitgeist, all that shit. And be on the lookout for that content coming tomorrow and all the other stuff going on, because it's going to be interesting. And until then, we will see you guys in hardware jams tomorrow. And we'll get all this squared away and hopefully do a good take on it right away. But, yeah, do what you can do, not to just support our channel, but other creators out there, because I can guarantee you guys that there are a lot of people out here creating music, producing music here on YouTube that are just trying to maneuver through these algorithms and figure out what's what. And I can tell you right now, it takes a very long time. First of all, you got to produce the content, and once you put it out there and do whatever you need to do going through all that, it's, in a position to where, like, you have to really analyze the data to understand where you sit in the algorithms. And once you start doing regular content, it puts you in a position to where you're like, okay, you notice a pattern between all these things. And the way that we've been able to analyze it here on the channel is that we've been doing all these different types of content that all fit into the same cohesive unit. And we've been figuring out which ones the algorithm holds on to and lets go of. But we've also been, in this analyzation mode of our own development and figuring things out with our growth and what does more here. And I could tell you, and this is how I figured out that we were in that secondary algorithm and already reached the 2,000 subscribers algorithm. What was it? I don't know, last couple weeks. Yeah, we've gotten like 100 subscribers in the last couple weeks. So, like, it's moving really fast in comparison. And it wasn't just the fumbles thing, although that was a part of it. Just imagine where we would be if YouTube's algorithm actually picked up rather than suppressed the Venus Theory content or the Ben Jordan stuff. It's crazy. Like, yo, these are my friends professionally. Like, these aren't people that I'm trying to capitalize off of their YouTube channels just because they have more numbers than I do. Like, we have completely different demographics, completely different agendas. But yeah, large and small moments for us. For sure. For sure. Yeah. And that's how it goes. There's a couple things, especially with you guys, you never live down. And that's your dance and your brother's eyelid shit. Love you guys. Keep making these moments, you know what I mean? These that's the thing about it, We not only, trauma bond together through a lot of this fuckery, but like we really connect on these deep levels and have these profound experiences that exist on a regular basis that can't be replicated by anything. The music industry hasn't figured it out yet, which is crazy because the music industry is totally different from the universal understanding of music. And the universal understanding, it's just like what I told that guy. If you jump into doing music like this, you're going to have these profound experiences every single day. If you're doing music and nothing but music and like that's your thing, I mean, you could be doing other things. I'm just saying, if your eye's on the prize and you're doing what you're doing, you have these meaningful connections and these profound experiences on a regular daily basis. Making digital family. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But there's something different with this, you know what I mean? Because a lot of us we meet each other in person eventually. There's a whole reality behind this that puts, feet to pavement, flesh to flesh. You know what I mean? I think the music industry and blogger YouTubers should help the smaller ones. Then everyone would thrive. But you know how egos and shit. Yeah. And you know what? Not to mention anybody by name, but one of the worst offenders of this, we used to support this YouTuber and, on a regular basis. Like, we were always in their community. And, they got up there, with their channel. Good enough to, support, other smaller channels and stuff. And it's funny because I saw him do a video to where he was talking about that same thing, that the bigger channels should support the smaller channels. But he was totally ignoring all the smaller channels underneath him that were involved in this community on a regular basis that he did not promote or support in any capacity. But yet he wanted these bigger channels to rain down some of their numbers on him and his channel. And it's like, yeah, see, that's the problem. You guys want all the benefit, but won't do the actual work to be a part of the community. You guys just do your own selfish shit and not give a shit about the way that the impact hits. And that's a problem when you're just shilling and you're not making beats. It's a problem when you have this discrepancy to where you're talking shit about the gear and then you're getting the gear and lining it up, but yet you don't even know what gain staging is. It's fucking weird that these non-music people are out here posing in front of synthesizers pretending to be musicians. And in reality, they just want the benefits of being a content creator and to have the buzz that the industry wants them to have because they've been programmed to think that that's what they need to have. But it's not just being programmed. It's the consistency of people making money off of this shit because it's been the standard of living. You know, this has been the standard on social media, and it's bled over into our community of music producers. And now all this shill business is becoming worse, and it's also becoming, you know, something that people reject a lot more frequent. So it's making those guys look weirder and making the community fall in tighter. And I think YouTube is seeing that numbers wise. And I think that's the discrepancy and the differences between the shifts in the algorithm. You shouldn't have hundreds of thousands of subscribers, but you can't make a decent beat, but yet your whole shtick is promoting and supporting and shilling for these beat making machines and companies. But you can't make beats. You don't even know how to work the equipment to the capacity where you understand the sonics behind it and fucking yell at people who do. You know? YouTube is starting to catch on, I think. Yeah, strongly dislike clicks. Yeah. And it's funny because, and I've seen this with recently because the algorithm picked back up my fumbles video and the algorithm killed it. It was at like 1,014 or something like that. And all of a sudden I woke up, it had 200 more views. And for our channel, that's crazy just within a few hours. And even though there were a bunch of likes, there were 2 more dislikes. I don't usually get dislikes, but like these idiots have no idea that that dislike is a part of the engagement. They think that, hey, if I do this dislike, the YouTube will stop showing me this shit. And chances are, you know, YouTube showed somebody who didn't like it and they're like, I don't want to see this shit. And they think that that dislike is going to make them do it. But yeah, the click thing. I think YouTube would be such a better space if you had 0 view count and 0 subscriber count. You just did what you did. Or you have your subscribers, but only the channel and YouTube know what your subscriber base is. It's not shared publicly. So these other companies can't dictate what your channel is, and these other people can't dictate what your channel is. It's 100% based on the level of content you produce and the quality that you produce as well. They're not going to fucking do it. But yeah. It definitely doesn't work in our music niche, that's for sure. This kind of shit. That would be dope. Really find one's character. Yeah. Yeah, when you strip away all those plaques and bullshit, you know, and you get rid of the shill, you know, then what do these companies base it off of? They look at how many videos you put out, how good of a producer you are, what's the quality of the people that are in your chat. Companies don't analyze these things. Because if they did, we would have been offered to shill a long time ago because they'd realize that most of our subscribers are fucking audio professionals who buy gear on a regular basis. They'd be fucking hand over fist trying to, you know, if they knew if they really knew who these people were, who you guys were, if they had any fucking clue, they'd be all over this channel. But they don't take any of that shit into consideration. They don't look at quality. They look at quantity. I'm just a bitter old man, though, making music for 25 years. I could bitch about a lot, but meh. I'm not cut out for public service. Yeah. Doing a 365 and don't see the rewards. Yeah. Yeah, you know, the thing about the doing it for you, it's a good experience, and you guys had a great experience, especially with the other one, with that. This is a time for sure. But if you are not going to produce a whole bunch of content and do a whole bunch of shorts and just run the gamut on that, doing daily live streams is pretty much the best way to figure out your algorithm and how you fit in and how your algorithm is being dictated by YouTube. Now, how it should automatically be for YouTube is one, everybody who has a channel that's monetized should not have to pay for YouTube Premium. So that should be one. Two, people that interact between channels and have the same subscriber base should all just automatically be shown your content. You know, it shouldn't just be a thing. I mean, obviously you'd have to click on it or whatever, but it should be something that's actually shown as an option, because now YouTube's getting it at a point to where you're not even getting the recommendation of your own YouTubers that you're subscribed to. You have to have the notification on in order to do that. This platform is 100% reliant on what YouTube does with your content. The only thing that would change that is if you import an audience from your own platform or somebody else's platform. Because if you come here with a sea full of people and you inject that into the platform, that's a totally different algorithm. But yeah, we're not here for algorithms. We're just kind of working things out. But the priority here always is and always has been the music. It's just now that we've figured some of these things out. There's certain things that we absolutely refuse to do. And there's things that we are going to continue doing. Algorithms be damned, you know. But we are definitely never going to dictate or manipulate our content for the sake of a viral moment. We've had our chance to do that. We could have done that with the Will Smith thing. Son and I had that conversation day of. It was in the zeitgeist. We specifically chose to wait a couple of weeks to put that out. And it didn't even get 100 views. The algorithm killed it. Being a public service, Shadows Lurker. No, it's all good. We need shadow lurkers out here doing old school industrial. That shit never hit other people's radar. Yeah. Shit. I saw some old school industrial record the other day. I was like, oh shit, I should get this and start doing industrial on here too. Yeah, it's a cool niche. I like it actually, you know. So yeah, gonna get out of here and enjoy the rest of the old Mother's Day. I say enjoy the rest of the Mother's Day because I don't get to do anything. He and her get to spend their time together. Stay the fuck away from me. I get to be alone. I'm just kidding. It ain't gonna be like that. I'm gonna spend time with the family and make this music. You know we're gonna do the shit. Anyways, yeah, so we'll be in Hardware Jams tomorrow. Do what you can do to support your local or fellow creator or whatever. And yeah, we'll see you guys in the zeitgeist. And yeah, next weekend's going to be a very interesting conversation. And I have my work cut out for me this week. That's for goddamn sure. Also, grandma visiting too. So as much as you would think that there'd be some kind of less content, that's actually going to result into more content because we're getting the records that I grew up to, and it's going to take a minute to go through them, and other things are going to be at foot. Going to be interesting. There's also the weather and the NPC and every moment of opportunity that we could come out with. And eventually we'll probably get that West Coast pack and demo it for the channel, but we're not going to do that first shit anymore. We're not going to concern ourselves in the algorithm with being first to anything to boost our numbers. We don't need it anymore. And yeah, it was a fun little journey, but we learned our lesson. Anyways, love you guys. Thanks for coming through. And yeah, see you next time. Peace, y'all.